You're on camera. Say something.
Last night and night before, there was 3 women walking down the street that way. I saw them. I said, hey, you 3 women, why are y'all walking down the street that way? There's nothing down there. And they flew away. I said, oh, them was some birds.
You are the American, forged in fire, tested in battle, and crowned in chrome and concrete. Yours is the land of roaring engines, daring dreams, and unapologetic excellence. But just beyond the tree line lies a threat. The Canadian. Do not be fooled by their tranquil tone or suspiciously stable emotional state. The Canadian does not yell, he insinuates. He does not command, he suggests. And before you know it, you're asking permission to be bold. This is not leisure, it is psychological warfare. Beneath the damp polyester lies a message. Tone it down, bud. The Canadians operate not with tanks, but with tendencies. An invisible war of nods, soft power, and thinly veiled passive aggression. Their weapon? Social status paranoia. The creeping dread that standing out is impolite. This is how they win, not with battles, but with beige. Not with conquest, but with committee. The mighty engine of American invention smothered beneath a weighted blanket of being reasonable. They say, maybe don't when you dare to do. They say, that's a bit much when you say more. And soon you're sipping lukewarm, sparkling water and apologizing for being inspired. Where is the next skyscraper, the next Mustang, the next moonshot, lost beneath a cloud of Canadian caution? But there is hope. The resistance. You. Subscribe to this channel. Stand tall. Speak loudly. Wear your sunglasses indoors if you must, and thank Almighty God every morning that you were born an American. Or made the righteous decision to legally become one. This message is brought to you by the Office of Cultural Resilience and Internet Defense, because freedom is not a group project.
Took a little bit of ice, a little bit of strong. Did that?
VIP 房同卡拉 OK 咁抵食，全天供應添，乳鴿都只係16.99，千里小炒王有4間。
People, I need to show you something here. Why I married the best woman in the whole world. She made a giant metal T-Rex. She welded this shit. Her name is Regina, by the way. Look at this. I mean, look. Look at the detail. Look at the eye. Look at how beautiful that is. This thing's like 6 feet tall. My wife welded a giant metal Tyrannosaurus Rex. If I had known that one day I would marry a woman who could weld a giant Tyrannosaurus Rex, I don't know what I would do. Like, as a kid, I just don't know how I would process that information. This is the coolest thing in the world, and my wife is the best. That's all I gotta say. That's all.
Let me guess, Tiny, a small salad?
Kakaroto!
We serve food here, sir.
I got it already, Squidward.
Don't beat yourself up over past mistakes. You are going to fuck up again in the future. Quite possibly in the most spectacular fashion. Why worry about yesterday's fuck-ups when you have tomorrow's fuck-ups to look forward to? You are a fuck-up, and fucking up is part of your growth process. Embrace the process.
Not very steeped in the comics.
I didn't read any comics or do any research.
I wasn't familiar with the comics. I wasn't familiar with the movies.
We didn't lean into a whole lot of the history of the comic books.
Yeah, candidly, we were not enormous comic fans.
I wasn't super into superhero comics when I was a kid. I read a lot of like indie press stuff.
First thing I was told is don't read the comics.
Really?
As a creator, they put you in a bubble. They don't let you talk about any of the other projects, right?
You know, they're up for anything.
We ultimately decided to redefine it for the series and thought that it worked better for the story that we're trying to tell.
Did you ever read you've never read the comic?
When the DVD comes out, I'm going to read a Thor comic book and just see where we went wrong.
Could be Trump. Yeah. Trump. Oh yeah. Trump. 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 Could be Trump. Yeah. Trump. Oh yeah. Trump.
Mama, we must run. The Wendigo Yakuza are here.
We'll be okay. We're not alone.
Where did we park today?
Cider took it to deliver those flowers.
You all don't stand a chance.
Underneath the moon's cold light, whispers linger in the night. Shadows dance with subtle grace. Secrets hide in every space. Velvet skies and sapphire dreams. Cities pulse, electric beams. Lonely hearts in shadowed bars. Fading tales beneath the stars. We dance in twilight's tender glow, where time moves soft and slow. Eyes meet in a silent song, in the night where we belong.
Did you ask for this? I know I didn't ask for this. I don't know anybody that asked for this. Who asked for this? Maybe Miss Nerdigans knows. Miss Nerdigans, do you know who asked for season 3 of The Last of Us TV show?
I don't think anybody asked for this. No, I don't think even Last of Us fans asked for this.
Yeah, this is like one of those Neil Druckmann power fantasies, I guess, that people are just kind of forced to ride along in this weird fantasy he has about this girl that murdered our favorite character with a crowbar. So, but there it is. Kind of drink that in. But anyway, that's what you have to look forward to. More of that slop. It's never going to end, apparently. Somebody somewhere with deep pockets really likes The Last of Us TV show, so get used to that. Anyway, we do have RJ McReady here saying Bungie's card is breaking. Well, that's not the only thing that's breaking. Apparently, their heart is too.
Sakura Mita here saying, can't wait for the Lego and Boom Studio comic discussions later on. Yeah, well, again, when Spencer and Jacob get here, we'll dig into that. But first off, we do have a lot of piracy news that's coming up here. But who else is in the chat here? We do have frickin' Punk 13. They send a super sticker of a smirking devil. They know what's up. They know what's good. We have Hibozo. Hibozo. I think that's how you say that. And saying good evening. Good evening to you too. Welcome aboard. And Ravul Arvidas here saying hail and blame Canada. Yeah, blame Canada. We'll get into that too. Sweet Baby Inc. There's a theory out there right now that they are, in fact, government created with the expressed purpose of usurping, disrupting, and destroying the gaming industry in America. So that's what that whole thing in the beginning was about the Canadians, by the way. That's where that came from. I like it though.
Well, I was surprised you didn't use a little bit of South Park and a little bit of Sheila Broflovsky in the mix.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Mainly what I was afraid of in incorporating that kind of footage is that everybody's so like copyright strike happy these days, and we're not exactly putting a positive spin on what they're putting out. So
there's a lot of that lately, and the biggest defender of that, and they're the one that kicked off everything, is Cacao kicked off everything with Reaperscans going down.
Which story was that one?
It was Reaperscans. It's the one that's in the chat.
Oh, okay, this one, right?
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, Reaperscans is a scanlation group of that did manhwa and web novels, and those are Koreans content, Korean comics and stuff. And Cacao and some of the other Korean publishers, they have been cracking down on piracy for a minute. And Reaperscans is the latest to go down, unfortunately. And the thing that's really frustrating about Cacao doing this in particular is that there's not a lot of licensed content outside of like Webtoon and Izu Scans, which is, or Izu Books, excuse me. I say scans.
Oh, okay.
Which is a new publisher. It's the Korean branch of Yen Press. So there's not that much. Like for example, especially in terms of simulpubs, Solo Leveling Ragnarok, which is the sequel to Solo Leveling. There's nothing for it. There's no official license for it. So people have no access to it. If it wasn't for piracy, no one would be able to read Solo Leveling Ragnarok. It was the same thing with Solo Leveling. No one had access to it if it wasn't for pirates. Same thing with Weak Hero. There was barely any access to it, to Weak Hero, if it wasn't for piracy. Heck, Webtoon was extremely behind with Tower of God. If you Tower of God, and with I think the God of High School as well. So if you wanted to be up to date with it, that's where pirates came in too. So this is really, really sad seeing this, but you could go ahead and read the unfortunate news here with because this is the events that happened. I think this happened like the day before with what happened with Mangadex, and a few days before with AnimeHeaven, which we're going to talk about.
Ryu over here, he posts, hello everyone. After receiving a cease and desist from Cacao Entertainment, we have decided to permanently shut down Reaperscans and stop any and all distribution of unauthorized fan translations. 6 years ago, when we first started Reaperscans, our goal was straightforward. We wanted to bring amazing stories from East Asian comics and novels to fans who otherwise wouldn't have access to them. When we first began, many series which we translated simply were not available in English, as Miss Nerdigan said. It was entirely up in the air if a series would even get an official English release when it did, it took months, if not years, for the official version to catch up. Throughout,
which is the case. We see it all the time. Any manga and manhwa reader and light novel reader will tell you it happens all the time. And when we get to with what happened with Mangadex, some of the titles that got taken down, you will be surprised with what titles got taken down.
Throughout these years, we have seen tremendous change in the industry. Webtoons and web novels have exploded in popularity worldwide, which means fans now often have immediate or near immediate access to official English translations. What once felt nearly impossible to obtain is now easily available, making the purpose of our original mission largely fulfilled. Looking back, we are incredibly proud. Why is this cut off like that? What is this?
Yeah, there's a second part here. It's
Oh.
just they cut it in half. Yeah.
Okay, so they cut it in half poorly.
Yeah.
That's great.
Mhm.
All right, so yeah, that's neat. Anyway, so looking back, we're incredibly proud and humbled by the amazing community that has formed around Reaperscans. We've shared so many wonderful moments together that we simply can't fit into the screenshots, so we're not going to talk about them. So we'll go over here and say, we generally want to thank anyone and everyone of you who have supported us, cheering us on, and shared your love of the stories with us. We are deeply sorry for any sadness or inconvenience that the news might bring, and we truly wish we could have continued sharing more stories with you. Our final heartfelt request is for you to continue supporting the creators you love by reading official translations on platforms like Tapas, Webtoon, Wuxia World, I think I said that right, Manta, Tumix, Lease Hin, and Wattpad. If there is a series you adore that isn't available in English, we encourage you to reach out directly to publishers. While it's difficult to say goodbye, we sincerely hope our translations brought joy, laughter, excitement, and comfort to your daily lives over the past 6 years. You have made this journey unforgettable, and we hope to carry forward the same passion for storytelling that connected us in the first place. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being an irreplaceable part of our story and significant portion of each of our lives. We'll miss you dearly and wish each of you happiness, success, and many more amazing adventures.
It's really sad. It's sad that this happened, but as we'll talk about with Mangadex, it's you take, and also with AnimeHeaven as well, cut one head. Piracy in general, especially when it comes to anime and manga and manhwa piracy, you just cut one head off. It's a hydra. Cut one head off, more's just gonna come pop out. And I'll say this with Korean, the Korean publishers just don't understand that that the biggest supporters, and this is what manga publishers seem to get a little bit more, is that your biggest supporters, I know it's weird. You would think it's backwards way of thinking, but your biggest supporters are actually pirates, because pirates will actually buy merch. They will buy the books. The reason why they're not being able to buy books is because it's not available to them. And I've seen it all over on like Twitter and Reddit, and also Discord, is that the reason why they can't even buy, they would buy books if they were accessible to them, or in some cases, if they weren't region locked, which is a problem. That's another problem. There's some, like, for example, K-Manga and Manga Plus is still region locked to some countries. So even if they wanted to support them, they can. Now, what were you going to say? Sorry.
I just have the Mangadex list here.
Oh yeah. So yeah, pull the Mangadex. So for Mangadex, what we found out is 7,000 titles were taken down, and about 660,000 chapters were taken down. And what's really insane about some of the chapters that were taken down, titles that were taken down, a good chunk of them are not licensed. So you have the One Punch Man webcomic, for example, that's not licensed. Jujika no Rokunin, not licensed. Kono Ototamare, not licensed. And some of the titles that do have that are licensed don't have simulpubs. So, for example, Kingdom, they took down Kingdom, which doesn't have a simulpub. Viz is only it just got licensed, and Viz is only doing one volume at a time. So yeah, so if you wanted to wait, if you want to be up to date with Kingdom, good luck with that. If you want to do it legally, you got to wait like probably at least 20 years, at least a decade to be up to date with Kingdom legally.
Look at all this.
Look at all that. Yeah. So all the Gundam is gone. Surprisingly, one that did survive the purge. Actually, I'm not surprised it survived the purge. Is Zatchbell. The reason why it survived the purge is because the mangaka broke off contact with Shigakkan. That's the only reason why it survived the purge. But yeah, you got a ton of classic manga there. And one good thing though that has happened throughout all this is there is an archive group that has been archiving titles from Mangadex like from 2020. It's pre 2020, and they were able to manage. They managed to save all but like I want to say 30,000, like 30 to 40,000 titles. So yeah, so a good chunk of the chapters were saved. They were, at least they were. But yeah, there's still so many lost, so many.
Yeah.
But the other thing is though, is that again the thing with Mangadex though, and this is why it frustrates me in particular that Mangadex out of all the sites got taken out, is because unlike a lot of pirate sites, Mangadex actually has links to where you could go for the Japanese version. There's links to where you can buy like the Japanese version, like for Amazon, for like Amazon Japan, Comic Walker, Book Walker, where you can find the official English version. And you don't get that with any other pirate website. So it just frustrates me it targeted them, because if anyone was supporting the official releases, it was Mangadex. It was encouraging people to support the official releases. It gave everyone all the resources needed to support the official releases. So when I saw that they targeted Mangadex of all websites, I was just so confused. I think everyone was confused. It's like, dude, Mangadex is supporting you. Out of all these pirate sites, Mangadex is supporting you the most. And they're not there's no ads on their website. It's all nonprofit. So to see this is it's just so baffling. But the other thing is, as I said, and as I said before we get into this FAQ here, is that the people that are supporting you the most are pirates. There's the post-COVID fans that are attacking pirates and all that. Well, guess what? The people in the manga community that have been around for as long as I have and have been sailing the high seas, they've fought back and they posted their collections, and they said, well, we read the scans first, and then because we like the series, we supported the author and we bought the series. We even bought it in Japanese because it wasn't available in English, because we wanted to support the author. We bought merch too because we really like the series that much. And in some cases, several scan leaders came out and said, yeah, if it wasn't for us, and this is true too, like this is true for like, you wouldn't have series like Gachi Akuda, you wouldn't have series like Chainsaw Man, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Fire Force, the Kengan series, like I think I would even say like Kaguya-sama's Love is War. A good chunk of these series that are popular right now, you wouldn't have them without pirates. You wouldn't. They would not be on anyone's radar. Hell, a lot of the localizers that you have are pirates. They started off as scanlators. They did. Ironically, even certain really shitty localizers. I know that doesn't help my case here, but yeah, ironically, certain crap localizers started off as fan translators for anime. But yeah, they will admit it too. But yeah, if it wasn't for piracy, you could hate pirates all you want, but they're the ones who bring you all the anime and manga you like. It wouldn't exist. They wouldn't exist without us. So
one of the things that happens in this is that it doesn't really matter about the spirit of what's happened is that these corporations register that this is their property and they are not in control of it. And that doesn't go any further in their mind than that qualifier that says, I am not in control of this, so I must have control of this. These people have stolen my work, and that's it. They don't think about it any deeper than that. They don't think about exposure. They don't think about how piracy actually brings more people to the table than it chases away. But the same thing we have with the American comic book industry when they tried to digitize their comics, and that had, middling results to it. Because again, people are going to, it's like Gabe Newell explained, we've got Ravul Arvita here, a member of the channel, saying piracy also happens because of the corruption within the publication and localization industry. But Gabe over on Steam, the guy who runs Steam, Gabe Newell can't count to 3. Good old Gabe, he says, piracy is because there's a lack of service. And that's what,
that's very true.
And what there really is that like we have the AI to be able to do this now. So there really shouldn't be a limitation on getting these things produced, put out into the world, and rolling. They should not be walled off to any language at this point. Like we now have the auto dubbing on YouTube. So when we go and listen to the senators and representatives from Japan that are talking about Assassin's Creed, that's poorly dubbed over with a robot voice, but it's there. It's doing the job that ordinarily the subtitles had to do. So again, we're in a different era now, and I think a lot of people in the corporate world haven't caught up to that, as usual. They haven't caught up to that yet, where this control over it. So take, for instance, all these titles that were taken down. They don't care if those become popular. What they care about is they didn't make them popular. That wasn't their choice. That was their property, and somebody else did that with it. That's all they care about. They don't care if it got popular and they can make money off of it now. Somebody else did that without their permission, and it has to be rectified. And it's terrible.
Well, here's the thing that, and I've talked to mangaka about this too, is because mangaka, surprisingly, they secretly, some of them will encourage piracy because they want their properties to be read by people around the world. And I've actually talked to like the Gachi Yakuta, because the Gachi Yakuta mangaka Arana K was talking about piracy and how they didn't like it. And something I said was like, well, yeah, people were doing scans for Gachi Yakuta, but the moment they saw that it got licensed, they stopped. Because pirates do recognize, they will recognize that if it is available legally, they will stop it. There are certain cases where they will keep going, though, and that is if the localization is being extremely botched. The best example of it is Jujutsu Kaisen. That localization is horrible. It is. And that's why the pirate, and also because people just couldn't wait, like with One Piece. But yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen's localization is really, really bad. And from what I've heard in the case of like Ranger Rejects localization, yeah, it's not up to date either. But yeah, from what I've heard, I heard that one's really bad as well. But yeah, that's the other thing, is if the pirates will a good example of this is Kingdom. This is why, I keep bitching about getting Kingdom a freaking simulpub. Is that, look, if Kingdom had a simulpub, I wouldn't be bitching as much about Kingdom being taken down, as unhappy as I am about it. I would not be pissed off about Kingdom getting taken down as if it had an official simulpub. That's all people want. All people wanted, Kingdom fans wanted, was an official simulpub on Manga Plus. That's all people wanted. There was a reader survey, like, I don't know how many years ago this is now. There was a reader survey, and I remember, and I asked for it too. I asked for this reader survey. I asked Momoyama and Hosono about it. And this among the series was Kingdom, like Madosehi no Slave, Honey Lemon Soda, Rurouni Kenshin, Hokkaido Arc. There was a lot of series, and I still haven't gotten my simulpubs for like Kingdom and for Madosehi no Slave, which are titles that got taken down, and people are pissed. And that some of those series got taken down. People are furious about it. Again, that's all people want. People just want accurately translated simulpubs.
Yeah.
Just give them simulpubs that are not region locked, mind you. Just give them that, and people will be happy. And yeah, in the case of like, say, the 100 Girlfriends, 100 Girlfriends is because you've got 7 C's doing it. It's going to take an eternity, and it's not the best. it's not the worst, mind you. It could be a lot worse, but it's not the best either, localized. But seriously, I just, in the case of Shueisha's doing a better job at least, but seriously, I don't understand why we can't have more of these titles on Manga Plus. The more titles that they put on Manga Plus, the less piracy they're gonna get.
Well,
Kodansha, with Kodansha, it's just K-Manga's a pain in the ass to deal with, but
you know, again, if we can automate making French fries, why aren't we automating doing manga? I don't understand.
well, I mean, they do. In the case of Manga Plus exclusives, they do hire pretty good translation groups. They do. They hire freelancers, or they have. Well, if you know who Bonsam is on Twitter, Matt, he actually works for one of the companies that that Manga Plus uses, and they do really good stuff. I don't understand why we just can't use. Why can't they just use more companies like them? That's all they got to do is just and Kodansha's. I don't know what is going on with Kodansha. I don't know. There's questionable name choices that Kodansha is just doing. I don't understand their localization name choices, but for the most part, Kodansha is doing pretty good work outside of certain naming choices, which pisses me off and pisses off the community. I've tried to get them. I've emailed my Kodansha rep and asked them to change it, but they won't change it. I've tried, but it is what it is, I guess. But anyways, but with this though, like I know people were asking in regards to Mangadex if it was going to go legit, if it was going to go be like Crunchyroll, and it's not going to be like Crunchyroll. But the thing that's Mangadex might as well be dead is because of Namikomi taking over.
Who's that?
Basically, Namikomi is it's like an independent kind of creator kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they're doing
Webtoon, kind of like
Webtoon. They're kind of turning. That's what they're going to kind of turn it is into like a Webtoon kind of thing.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it really is because if you look at number 15, it says we will continue working on the features that make Mangadex great and make it into an even better platform for content creators. So yeah,
it sounds like the only way to like control this stuff is to have it submitted to the platform from the people who made it. So yeah, that's the route that they have forward for them. It's kind of like what happened with AnimeHeaven.
Well, AnimeHeaven, that is basically what's going to happen with AnimeHeaven. AnimeHeaven is all but dead.
Yeah. You know.
But yeah, Mangadex Mangadex lasted for about 7 years, 7-8 years. I mean, it's longer than like a lot of sites lasted. Say with Reaperscans, they lasted for a really long time. There's rumors in regards to Mangadex that maybe, I don't know if maybe it's just because they're basing it on what happened with Reaperscans because of the timing, but there's theories on Mangadex Reddit that Kakao led the charge and got the Japanese companies together and did this, but that's just a rumor. I can't confirm if that is true or not, but that's what word on the street is.
But I have no idea why my camera keeps like overexposing. Apparently I am that white that any like little hint of extra, look at it. I don't know why it's doing that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Apparently I am so white. It just completely kills the camera's ability to focus. I'm very sorry.
But let's get into AnimeHeaven because AnimeHeaven's situation is very interesting because they're only focusing on Crunchyroll. But it's not just Crunchyroll though. It's Crunchyroll, Kadokawa, Toho. It also says on the Lubin database list that Yamuri Telecasting and Japan Creative Content Alliance. Like it's not just Crunchyroll here, like because they're kind of making it sound like based on this headline that it was just Crunchyroll. It's like no, it's not just them. and it kind of frustrates me because it kind of sounds a little misleading. And like people are like, oh, Crunchyroll was what's a pirate site. It's like the same people that were running Crunchyroll, they're not running Crunchyroll anymore. You have Funimation. Essentially, it's Funimation running Crunchyroll based on, you know, who's in charge.
You.
Unfortunately.
But yeah, that again, more corporate control. They have to have control of it, and that's the point of it, you know. So
well,
the DCMA stuff will continue to happen, and it'll continue to get killed until AnimeHeaven is turned into another Crunchyroll in order to corporatize and control.
I don't think it's going to be a Crunchyroll. I think they're just going to shut down. Straight up.
Sure.
I think they're just going to shut down. That's just how things are, unfortunately. But as I said, it's a Hydra. Piracy is a Hydra. Once you cut off a head, 3 more are going to pop up. And in terms of the situation with, I'm not going to say the website that people have switched to, because I'm not a freaking idiot, but I've already talked to scan leaders and I've checked, you know, my sources, and they've already moved on. It's the same thing with leak culture, which we'll get to in a little bit. Like people are saying, oh, this is the end of piracy. Oh, this is the end of leak culture. It's not. If you find them, they just go elsewhere. People are saying, like when the whole thing with Kagurabachi happened, and they thought they chased off the Kagurabachi leaker. It's like, no, they're still on Twitter. You're just not looking in the right places. You'd be surprised where the leakers are. A lot of leakers have been on TikTok. I refuse to use TikTok no matter what people tell me. I'm not going to give my dad to the CCP. I'm just not going to do it. But yeah, they're on TikTok. There's a lot of them on TikTok. Unfortunately, that's where a lot of the toxic anime and manga fans are breeding on, our TikTok. It's crazy. You'd think they would be a lot more of them would be on Reddit, but nah, they're more on TikTok than they are on Reddit, surprisingly, especially the manga fans.
Okay. And then we had this one.
Oh yeah, this is speaking of leaks. There's a spoiler website that the Japanese, from what I've noticed anyway, they're a lot more serious about like anime spoiler websites and leakers than they are about when it comes to like scanlations and stuff like that. That's what I've noticed.
Yeah.
Because with scanlations are the manga pirates are usually pretty smart about when they upload scanlations, because they usually upload them the day the chapter comes out. When you upload like chapters the day they are released in Japan, they usually don't have a problem with it. It's usually if you upload them like the day before or like a couple days before the chapter comes out in Japan, that's when they usually take an issue with it, and that's how certain groups get in trouble. But with leakers like this, though, like with say like the Kimetsu no Yaiba Mugen Infinity Castle anime leaker, or with this, which is
literally can't have a light. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm sitting here watching my camera go wah 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 at you guys. I'm so sorry. I can't make it stop. Even shutting off the damn light will not make this stupid "you're too white, you're too white, you're too white." Like, I don't understand. I have a Galaxy camera, a Galaxy phone. I don't understand. That's what's running this, okay? I have no idea why all that technology can't say white guy in the dark and leave me alone. I'm very sorry. It annoys the piss out of me that I'm going, wah, 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 what happened in the fucking corner? Oh.
Weird.
It's like that motion sensor that was trained not to notice black people at that company. You remember that? When they put in all those light sensors and it didn't notice the black employees, so everywhere the black employees went, they had to have the white employees go with them so the lights would come on. Even worked the water sink stuff in the bathroom. I remember that. You had to have a white escort to go to the bathroom at that corporation. This is the opposite. The camera's like, you're too white, so we're just going to keep frigging around with the fucking exposure. Oh, it just annoys me so much as we're trying to put a show on here and I'm just up in the corner. Like, wah, 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 wah. Oh. Anyway, I've had my little freak out now because of that. I'm sorry. I don't mean to, I'm not doing this on purpose. I don't have a spotlight. There's no fucking lighthouse that's flashing me intermittently. It's just this stupid ass fucking camera.
anyways, but yeah, so they're going after the leakers that or Coda is anyway. They're going after leakers that that were posting stuff about Godzilla -1, Shin Kamen Rider, and a couple of others by Toei and Kubi, and one other by Kadokawa, and that includes like Shin Ultraman as well. And apparently the site listed over 8,000 films and that described the names of characters, lines, actions, and scenes. Yeah, those kinds of leaks Japan really does take seriously. They do. Again, as I said, when it comes to manga, if it's a scanlation like posted like on the same day a chapter comes out, they're a little bit more lenient on that than something like, say, this, where it's a straight up leak and it's coming out like way before the movie comes out.
Well, and again, I mean, like, media is a different enterprise in Japan than it is in the U.S. We do take our media production very seriously here in the U.S., but it is not as a I would guess more that the U.S. studios are annoyed but flattered when a leak happens, that kind of thing. Like that kid that went in on TikTok there, he ran around the Avengers film site, pretended he was a crew member. They hate that, sure, but they're also kind of flattered because that helps get the word out, start conversation some more. It keeps the Avengers Doomsday movie title moving around in the SEO search terms, if you will. And so over in Japan, though, like I said, they don't have control over that, and they don't like that. So when it comes to people going out and spoiling a movie, that's seen as destroying the movie's ability to make money. That's destroying this latest episode's ability to make money. That's destroying this manga, anime, video game, so on down the lines, ability to make money. And that's why it's treated like a crime. You're effectively stealing from someone's hard-earned effort. They also make a very big deal about showing off these things too. It's kind of like, remember the VTuber premieres, like when they would show up their debuts, everything has a special pomp and circumstance to it. And so that event would be completely deflated if everybody knew that Godzilla -1 had a cameo from Ronald McDonald in it,
I mean, we saw what happened with the culture clash with the Infinity Castle leak, the legal warning. We saw the complete culture clash where the Japanese fans completely understood and they agreed with it, and then overseas fans were like pissed about this legal letter because it's like, well, it's your fault that you're not you have it region locked and are not doing any marketing and are not sending it overseas. Like, marketing is one thing, and marketing is a problem, and that's a discussion that should be had. Let's be real. And part of it is in terms of the marketing, that is kind of on Crunchyroll's and Sony's fault, to be clear. But in terms of like this trailer though, and a leak, that's a cultural thing, and you gotta respect that a little bit more. But as I said, if marketing is going to be what you're pissed at, then you got to take that up with Sony and Crunchyroll. Don't take it up with like the official Kimetsu no Yaiba account. That's not their fault that they're not being the Japanese one. It's not their fault that they can't do that. And you being a complete asshole to them about it and not being like at least polite to them and being like, well, maybe if there was, can you explain why there wasn't any marketing, or at least just be polite about it? Just don't be a complete asshole. I don't understand what happened to like manners or common sense with this generation. Like, there's so much entitlement. It's just so disgusting.
Well, it's more like they've been conditioned to fight a battle. One of the things that we grew up with was like the millennials being like this sort of PC, politically correct, like hall monitors, like you can't say that, you can't believe that, you can't have that kind of thing. It's cultural appropriation. You're wearing a culture as a costume, that sort of stuff. We heard it all. These kids grew up in the environment compounded on top of that. And so one of the things I used to say was that every generation needs a war, and we don't have an enemy right now. Like, they're not going to go and saddle up against the Chinese. So what they're focusing on is, the Japanese, because the Japanese, they're perceiving them as an enemy of purity. even though they themselves, these kids that are angry about this, are probably the most degenerate American generation to ever walk the face of the earth. So, and that's just kind of the battle you're up against, is the holier than thou attitude born out of the children of the millennials. You know, and that's what we get. Our fellow millennials decided to hall monitor their kids so hard that those kids became like the Uber hall monitors when
I
they
feel
grew
like
up.
I think they're the kids of Gen Xers more than millennials, if anything.
Well, we're in our mid-30s, so if they had kids in their
I'm a child.
20s,
Well, I'm a child of boomers, so like late boomers.
yeah, same. You know, but that, again, like that was pretty rare. A lot of our generation were Gen X kids. You know, and they had parents that were like, you know, 17 or 18 when they were born. So that's, I mean, again, it's up in Maine. You know, for me, up in Maine. You're over in California, you got a different experience. I'm up in Maine, and up here, a lot of the kids I went to school with had parents that were just, you know, a little over drinking age older than them. You know, they're like 18 years older than them, 17 years older than them. Wasn't a lot of age difference. So
yeah, where I was at, there was a lot of my friends had boomer parents. So, yeah. But
that's
I grew up
what
in
I'm
the
saying.
suburbs, so
That's what I'm saying too, is that in our schools too, we were raised by the Gen Xers that came up, and then of course these kids have the millennials as their teachers as well, and so they're experiencing that browbeating hall monitor stuff from kindergarten forward, and of course it metastasizes into this all out, you know, no holds barred, destroy this culture entirely because they depict women in a way you were told not to like. You know, that's the other thing about all this, right? So you're dealing with people who are running up against their own base instincts. And that's why I think they get so crazy about all this, is that like the base instinct says, yes, big anime booby good. Big anime booby good. That is the lizard brain that says that's okay. But this enlightened brain that your teacher gave to you, or your parent that had this hall monitor mentality gave to you, you end up having this need to police to fulfill their vision on top of now your own of this world that doesn't make you uncomfortable. But you're not uncomfortable. That's the thing. And that's what we're dealing with here, is that they're not uncomfortable appreciating big boobies. They were told that appreciating big boobies should make them uncomfortable. And so they're fighting that natural urge, and it creates this excited mentality where they've got to go around and destroy it all. I don't know if you've ever been around somebody who's tried to stop smoking. You've been around somebody that did that?
Oh,
it's the same mentality. They want to chase out everything that has to do with the smoking, and cigarettes. Can't be around anybody who does that. I used to hear from people all the time, oh, I'm allergic to cigarette smoke. Like, okay, I got you. I got it. Yeah. You can't smell the nicotine without having to light up. I got you. I got it. And that's what this is they can't see cleavage, or else they're like, and that's how they go, is they've got to purify all of it, because there's no like gray area for them. There's no level 0. They go from 0 to 100, you know?
Again, maybe it's just because of my experience, because my dad is extremely liberal and my mom is like a moderate, but she's more like she's like a first wave / second wave feminist. Maybe that's why I don't have this problem. And like that's why when I see these kids, I'm just like, I just don't understand. And most of my friends growing up didn't use shit like that. Like maybe in college, like maybe some of my, maybe a couple of my friends like in college were like this, but nah, I've never, again, I'm in California. I grew up in the Bay Area. So I just have never had to deal with this until I got on social media, really. I've never really had this. So seeing these like holier than thou people, it's just it's been like the most bizarre thing for me to see this.
Yeah, the opposite of crazy church ladies. You got it. And that's what it is. Because again, it's not held together with a morality. It's held together with a innate disgust. So when you talk about being raised by feminists and things like that they are too, but they're raised by the third wave feminist that says we are in rejection of any type of expression of the female form, exploitive or otherwise. Even if it's something that flatters the female form, we do not want to see it. And that is, they're drifting into burqa territory, you know? And that's
At first, for those that are confused, like first and second wave feminists reject anything from the modern wave because they're more like sexually liberated. They grew up under like actual male oppression, and all they wanted to do was be equal to men. They weren't man-hating assholes like a lot of these modern wave feminists are, and to the point where I'm not saying all of them were, mind you, but like they are like the complete opposite of what first and second wave feminists are. It's like you know how the pendulum is swinging? It's like the complete opposite.
Yep.
Of what feminists were back then. There we go.
We ended up with another hiccup in HoloLive's VTuber stocks, group here. Apparently playing a potentially hacked Pokemon Emerald game was bad news for Usada Picora. So I just want to remind everybody out there that if you're running around enjoying this kind of content with VTubers and they happen to make private streams and stuff just disappears out of nowhere, odds are their agency has come through and told them, you got to get rid of that. There's no Pokemon Emerald that you could just play on your PC. That's not allowed. So you gotta get rid of that.
Yeah, that's got to be a ROM if that's the case.
Right, and that if you're an official VTuber, that's bad news for your company. That's not a good idea to do that, and that's kind of where we're stuck, I guess. As far as like the VTubers go, is that like they end up in that content that doesn't belong to you category, and
going back to like older content for a second, because we talked about this before, like usually when it comes to, and this is what I've noticed with Nintendo specifically, usually when it comes to like older generation content, they're not so like nitpicky on it. If it's like NES, Super NES, N64, like probably I'd say now because of Switch and Switch 2, if it's like probably up to at least maybe Wii U-ish, they will like overlook it. They will just look the other way. But like if you're trying to like pirate like Switch and now Switch 2, they're not going to overlook it, especially if you're selling it. No, that is a huge no. Nintendo will overlook shit to a point. That's why I'm like, Japanese companies are willing to overlook some things to a point, especially if you're not selling them. And that's the thing with scanlators, going back to manga piracy for a second, is manga scanlators don't sell shit. They are fan translators. They do this for fun. A lot of them are doing it to practice their translations too and practice their Japanese. So it's great for them as for practice. And as I said, a lot of these translators get hired by actual publishers. I know several of them that have gotten hired by publishers to actually translate series. So it's like it's an actual you can make the argument that's a necessary evil in a way. But I mean, and I don't. The thing is that normies don't seem to understand it. But in a way, I'm like, part of me is happy. I know as fucked up as it is, part of me is kind of happy that this happened because hopefully this drives the hobby back underground, so that way we don't have to deal with these post-COVID fans anymore. I really, really am tired of them. They have like just really, really destroyed a lot of the fandom with their toxicity. I really hope that's gonna happen, especially ever since like the Viz Shonen Jump app came into being. The fandom has just been it's just been horrible. The manga community has just been horrible since that happened.
Naturally,
as fucked up as it is, it's just been bad. It's really bad.
There is a teeny tiny bit of good news out there though. Shinkenger and Gokaiger and Dawn Brothers top the charts as NHK announces the results of All Super Sentai Great Voting, the 50th anniversary fan poll. So, again, at the top of the charts is good old Shinkenger, a Super Sentai about super-powered samurai kicking the ass of waterlogged demons from the underworld, something like that. It's like a mirror water world that they come from. And of course, Gokaiger is the 35th anniversary of Super Sentai involving the pirates, and everyone loves Captain Marvelous. I don't know if that guy he'll probably die on camera playing that character. He's absolutely become like the spirit of Super Sentai. So I can't wait to see more of it. And of course, the Don brothers won everybody's heart with their antics and crazy imagination. Of course, Don Momotaro disappeared from reality using the power of his passion to defeat the final villains. So these are good choices. These are very heartfelt and beautiful acknowledgments of the Super Sentai 50th anniversary. And again, if you're not aware, we're dealing with Gozuger that is out right now. Gozuger has been knocking it out of the park with these Super Sentai callbacks. They gave us a female Car Ranger, Red Ranger Car Ranger. So if you're not familiar, Car Ranger was Turbo over in Japan. And why it's interesting is that this character is obsessed with safety. This woman who's playing this character underneath there is obsessed with safety. And if you don't know, Car Ranger was not about going fast like Turbo made it out to be. Car Ranger is about driving safely. A lot of safety oriented. In fact, I think the villains they were up against were the ones that like disobeyed safety rules on the road, and that's what inspired a lot of it. So, Gozuger has really stepped forward in his recent episodes to really introduce a very heartfelt message to, I guess, moreover, those people who were forgotten in Japan, groups of people who were left behind by the economic miracle and then collapse later on, people that are in our age group that ended up missing out on being able to go to university because of the housing bubble crisis completely obliterating the global market for a couple of years there. They're called the forgotten generation. And this is where Gozuger seems to plant its flag, is in the society of losers living in Japan. And then when we say losers, it's not to say that these people are horrible or undeserving of success. These are people who have simply not had a great time in life and have lost more than they have gotten out of life, if you will. And so this is why I really appreciate this story and the links that they're going through to not only humanize the people underneath the helmet, but also make Super Sentai known to the world as this grand and beautiful expression of passion. And it's a rare thing because, as we see, the Japanese people are very reserved in their regular lives. You're not going to see too many people performing these moves out in the open randomly. Again, over in Japan, it's not like everyone runs around like it's some Disneyland kung fu movie. That's not how it works there. They wait for the bus, they go to lunch, they read books just like everybody else. They're not super powered heroes, having giant monster fights all the time. They're regular people. And so when you see this kind of passion on display in a society that kind of downplays this heavy-handed expression of your true beliefs, it's good to see. I wish America would lean into this more. I think that Power Rangers made a huge mistake breaking off from Super Sentai. We're going to end up with some really dull stuff if they ever get around to rebooting the franchise, which I doubt they ever will. For some reason, they can't make rainbow-colored people in spandex work for their stupid globalist agenda. I don't know how. They just can't seem to make that work for their globalist agenda.
No, they'll never be able to do it. They'll never be able to do... Well, they can't even do something as cool as, like, say, what we get with Ranger Reject either, which doesn't even have, like, any mecha either. Because you could do a Sentai without, like, Zords and shit, too. You could do a Sentai with barely any powers. Ranger Reject is proof of that. You could do, like, you could do a deconstruction of the Sentai genre. But the thing is, though, that requires actually being creative, which is something that they can't do. You can do something about how corrupt the Sentai system is. Again, Ranger Reject does that, but you can't. But they're not creative enough to do that. That requires being creative.
Well, and that is another situation that we run into now, is that the Bionicle Masks of Power video game is over with. Sakura Mita brought this to attention earlier, yesterday, in fact. So if you're not aware, there's been a fan-made game known as Bionicle Masks of Power in development for the last, I think, 6 years, I think it was. Might be a little longer. And that's over with now. They got a cease and desist from the Lego company that it was getting too close to their brand control, brand identity. See, this is something in the US. I think it's in Japan as well. Could be other countries. But I know at least in the United States, it's for sure, is that we have laws regarding brand confusion. So if you are creating a fan game, right? You're going to end up with getting into trouble if you're producing something at or greater than what the corporation that owns that property is able to produce or willing to produce. And a little bit of side note, Lego doesn't want to do any more Bionicle stuff after that mess with the Maori, where they just strip their culture and turn it into a Lego set. That was really illuminating when I found out one of the coolest things I loved about Legos was just completely lifted from the Maori people. But they don't want to do that anymore. They experimented with trying to create their own lore for the Bionicle that was like completely from, whole cloth complete, and that didn't really fly. So Bionicle and Massive Power wanted to continue on with the way the Mata and the Toa and the and Mata Nui were going on with their business. However, not anymore. It's over with. So if you were looking forward to Bionicle Massive Power, it has gone the way of the Scanlation and anime piracy websites. It's gone.
But there's not. But unlike the Scanlation and anime piracy websites, it's not a Hydra, so
it's true.
It's not going to have. You're not going to see more of it. That's
so this game, as far as I know, was not complete, and so it has become lost media now. There might be a demo somewhere that surfaces somewhere in the dark web that'll be playable somewhere in the future, but for right now, the Bionicle Massive Power fan-made video game will never see the light of day. So, and again, it's up to you how you feel about that. If you're interested in that Bionicle stuff, or if you had any kind of excitement about reliving those days with the mini discs. I don't know about you, but do you remember mini discs? Nerdigans are gonna take over the world. You remember that little mini discs?
Yes, I remember that. I remember when I remember like the GameCube mini discs too. Like everyone thought mini discs were going to be a thing. I remember when floppy disks were a thing. I feel so old.
We never got those cool like disc and floppy disk things at once. Only Japan got those, or like other countries, I guess. But remember those? Those are like in anime. They had them all the time. That they were like these see-through cases that had like the disc inside of them, and you put it into something. We didn't get those. We got the full-on disc. Very annoying. But yeah, you'd load up a Bionicle mini disc that came in the top of the little Bionicle capsule while you were building your little Bionicle guy, and you'd put it on your Windows Millennium Edition computer, and in 15 minutes or less, the whole thing would finally boot up. I remember I was one of those kids that was just dumb enough to break into like all the asset folder into the asset folder. You didn't have to break into it, just find it, keep clicking things. So I found how to like change the sound effects that were on my computer to sound effects from the game. And it didn't go well, but I was very entertained. Put it that way. I was very entertained. We have a lot to talk about with Spencer and Jacob, and I'm not sure if Jacob will be joining us tonight or not. Again, like he's got some stuff outside of this. We wanted him to come back tonight. He wanted to come back tonight. He may still come back tonight, but I'm not like telling everybody, get your Jacob celebration hats on, because, life is life. It's one of those things. But Spencer says he's wrapping up things. He'll be in a little bit. In the meantime, though, we do have a $2 super chat from Alpha Omega. He says, you see, Surugaya got hit by the MasterCard and Visa. What's that all about?
I saw that. Let me send you the article here. But basically another Japanese site is getting assaulted by Visa and MasterCard, from what I understand. Here, let me give you the site. Here we go. There we go. Here we go. And of course, it's due to mature content until they find a solution. There
it is.
Yeah.
And so it says access to adult PC games shut down on major Japanese on-time retailer admits discussions with payment processors. And this again is going to be another I wouldn't say it's necessarily the what's being coined as the woke right that is doing this. This is corporations that do not know how to explain media that is bordering on what can be confused for child exploitative. Because again, in Japan, they like to depict women in youthful form. And again, I'm not trying to point to lolly games being the problem. I'm not trying to point to the like we were talking about before, the Digimon stuff where the characters were in a state of undress or anything like that. What I'm trying to point out is that the corporations like Visa and MasterCard are not able to negotiate with their own internal legal services how to explain this if someone decided to raise the question over why a video game about exploiting a 15-year-old girl is available on a website that Visa and MasterCard services. And that's, again, while a lot of people maintain the border of fiction and reality on that, these corporations don't. They're flatly not interested in going to court to defend the right of people to make money, to put video games together that end up causing them to have to legally defend their presence in that sphere. And they're taking it out especially on Japan because, as I said before, Japan likes to depict their female characters in youthful form. So
I just think it's funny that you don't have these, it's never going against like Western properties like South Park or Family Guy, which do have sexual situations for their underage characters, or Big Mouth for that matter, or Rick and Morty. You never have that. It's always Japan. And it comes off, again, it's not on purpose, mind you, it's unconsciously very xenophobic. You see, I don't think it is. You think it is straight up xenophobic?
Absolutely. People, you're going to run in, you right now can go out on the street, and if you ask people what they think about Japan, they'd be like, you mean that country with a bunch of perverts?
Or a bunch of pedos?
They might say that, but they're definitely going to first think of Japan as a place that has different sexual expressions, okay? And that is, again, they might arrive at like giant robots, but most Americans first assign sexual deviancy to Japan.
I mean, remember, Cider, for fuck's sake, we saw in that comment section for the legal letter for Demon Slayer, they said we saw these overseas people saying that oh, you're more worried about a leak than anime pedos.
Right. And again, like that is the prevailing attitude about anime when you're not a fan of it or you don't want to be associated with fans of it. Is that people come out and they just call you everything in the book because, again, like I said, Japan likes to portray their women in youthful fashion. And so that ends up translating to anybody who doesn't have a culture that operates that way as exploiting young women. And of course, in our hyper neo-Puritan society, more than an inch of cleavage or any cleavage at all is tantamount to being burned at the stake. And again, then on the flip side, everyone wants to have an OnlyFans subscription. So it's quite a bipolar mindset to have about all of this. And again, Visa and MasterCard are not pulling their servicing of those institutions and other institutions like them, like Pornhub, like other ones out there that go ahead and spread around material and have a history of spreading around material that can't be verified. I don't know if you realize this or not, but there's no way for any of these sites that you're uploading your own homemade movies to, if you will, there's no way for them to verify that everybody in that picture, in that video, is of age to be circulated that way. There's no way for them to do that. They have to trust that you are entering legal information in there, and that's that. Meanwhile, Visa and MasterCard are not moving to control that stuff. But here's the thing. Here's what the big difference is. And I realized this a few days ago when I was trying to rationalize why they were going after animated stuff and manga stuff so much, is it's because of COPPA. It's because of the children's online protection, and that's the exploitative route that they're running through now. And you have Hibozo here saying, the credit card companies are acting like government now. Yes, and wouldn't you know that BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard made the oath that they were going to change people's behaviors. They were going to force that change. And here it is.
The only card company that's not doing this is American Express. You notice that? You notice American Express is not in the conversation at all. American Express is like the last bastion of freedom at this point.
Yep. Well, hey, guess what, everybody? We have great news. Jacob's here.
Hey.
Yep. He sounds just as enthused as the Visa card guys are when they have to sit down to explain themselves. So
I'm legally required to be here. It's in my contract.
It's a court order.
Yeah. Oh, now I remember what I was going to say. Cider. It's what's funny is with Windbreaker with Tsubaki, the cross-dressing character, is that you have these Westerners, the Western Puritans, right? And it's mainly straight men that are doing this, right, that are saying this in particular, which I think is very funny. They are so pissed off about this cross-dressing man who is not even taking off their clothes. They're just dancing on a stripper pole, and he's 18, mind you. And they're like, "Oh, I can't watch. What? I didn't sign up for this. I only signed up for to watch a battle anime. Where's the fighting? I didn't want this character development. I just want to see guys beat the shit out of each other, and they're bouncing." I'm just like, what?
Okay, look, you guys, I've only been here for like 2 minutes, and I've already heard cross-dressing man in anime. It's like it's way too early in the day for this for me. What's the next topic?
Okay, do you want to get in? Well, I could mention something else, but I don't think because of news breaking in the football.
First of all, why is Cider wearing a blazer? Like, when did that start? Like, I've been gone like 2 weeks. What happened to the show? Why is there a new background?
Everything, because it wasn't working, so we changed everything. So we're trying to see if it'll work. Again, we're trying to figure out what the audience wants, and sometimes most of the time we only end up with about 15 to 20 people in here, and we really appreciate everybody showing up. It just seems to be a statistical anomaly that we pick up 2,000 or 3,000 subscribers and the same 15 people. You're wonderful. We really appreciate it. We just don't understand what's going on. So that's why we keep changing things all the time, guys. Why I'm wearing different stuff with the background. For some reason, we just can't seem to bring an audience into good old bounding during the live stream. We've got our dedicated people in here, Sakura Mita, RJ McReady, Mag N-word that I can't say and somehow made it into the YouTube comment section. We had that guy show up, but we got loyal people in here, Alpha Omega, lots of people who show up regularly, but for whatever reason, that's why we change all this stuff. That's why there's new intros. That's why we're trying new backgrounds.
Like I said, it's not even necessarily anything that you're doing. It's that you have to understand that everything about the YouTube algorithm is so ridiculously manipulated. It's like you're trying to figure out how to win a rigged game, and then when you think you got to figure out they've rigged more details, it says you got to keep up with how they're rigging it, right? Because this is a big thing. When you remember, like, YouTube Shorts was like a big thing, and everyone was getting like massive subscribers based off of YouTube Shorts, but that wasn't translating to anyone watching like actual videos or actual live streams. So people have to kept like divulging like their content and whatnot, try to get people to like watch live. And we've had similar issues with this, where some videos will do thousands of views and it gets real good reception and people subscribe, but then when you do a live stream, it's the same thing. Part of it is due to the fact that, like I said, depending on what your channel is talking about, it could get suppressed based on, you talking about type of things that YouTube doesn't describe or doesn't like talking about. It's hard enough to get your own subscribers to get notifications that you're going live for certain things, and that's always been an issue since forever now when it comes with YouTube. So it's like, I just want to say that it's not necessarily that you're just doing something wrong, is that you're dealing with a system that is constantly trying to make sure that it controls every single aspect of the site itself, which means that if you show up on the place that you're not supposed to be in, that's a big problem for them. So it's like you almost have to play like 3 or 4 different type of chess games simultaneously, and it is a very, very stressful one if you happen to be a full-time YouTuber. That's why I've said, look, I know there's plenty of people out there that make money off of YouTube, and I don't even think it's from actual videos anymore. I think most of the guys, at least in our sphere, just make money off of like super chats, stuff like that. It's kind of like the primary thing now. But if we're being honest with ourselves, the days of people like, oh wow, I got 10,000 subscribers, I'm gonna quit my job and become a full-time like that. Those days been dead for at least 10 years. If we're being completely honest, it's been dead for at least a good decade now, and that's just the game of YouTube as it stands. I mean, Nerdikins is what? Don't you have like 10,000 subs on your channel yet, or close to it?
I have 11,000 subs on my YouTube channel now.
And it's like I said, it's hard to keep that good retention with stuff like that, and like I said, it requires a full-time effort. But if you're not getting full-time pay, it's hard to justify the full-time effort. So you gotta find some kind of balance there, and I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I know what that balance is. It's just the way that things work.
I've had to cut back because I used to record like up to 20 videos a day, and I've had to fight the algorithm a lot more, and had to make some decisions on if I'm going to record like double, because I do chapter live reactions, if I'm going to do like a double chapter live reaction, and just do like 5 videos a day, or like some days
And that's
none.
something I've had this conversation with other YouTubers who are in the same position. I've told them, it's like, in all honesty, I would just cut back on the amount of content you do, because if you do too much content, YouTube penalizes you for that too. So it's like, if you're the type of person who live streams every single day, then eventually your streams just don't get sent out at all. They don't get picked up by the algorithm, and next thing you know, you're working yourself to death for very little output. So at a certain point, you kind of have to push back and be like, hey, look, I don't know what the news cycle has been. I know that a lot of people at one point were kind of doing like 3 short videos a day within a certain time frame and making sure you don't say certain words and all that stuff. I'm not sure if that's still the game in 2025, because that was back in 2023 when people were talking about that. But yeah, I mean, like I said, if you want this to be kind of a full-time thing, that's kind of you gotta have to play Google's rules. I mean, that's just because we're at the mercy of the big G right now. So.
Well, and that's just kind of what I'm pointing out, is that like we play it pretty clear and play clean, and we try to keep everything up on the up and ups with Google, and it's still, for some reason, we're dealing with this very strange attitude about bounding into comics YouTube channel that's not interested in letting our live viewers know that we're live. It's very annoying, and I don't know how to fix that. So that's why we change the backgrounds. We get new intros. Why I change my costume a lot and stuff like that. It's just, you never know what's going to catch like 100 people and why they're going to want to hang out.
And like I said, it's the YouTube game. I've literally searched for videos that, keep in mind, have nothing to do with anything controversial whatsoever. But I've tried to search for videos literally blow by blow, letter by letter, name by name, and I cannot find them in the YouTube algorithm at all. I will search it out, and all in the YouTube bar, it will not come up. It won't come up in the first 30 items. If I go to Bing or Google or something like that and search for the name of the video, it's the first thing that pops up. So why is it the first thing that pops up on a search engine, yet if you actually go to YouTube's own search engine, you can't find the video by name at all? And it's like, that's the heavy suppression that you're dealing with here on YouTube. You can't even search a video simply by its name because, oh, well, the content creator may not be approved of the YouTube, so you can't go out there and find that guy. I mean, that's just the way that it is now. It makes no sense from any common sense perspective, but yeah, people have been dealing with that for years, unfortunately.
Yep. Welcome to the state of my channel, and not just that, welcome to the state of my Twitter.
We found Spencer.
Well, I mean, you've been shadow banned on Twitter for a while now. I've been telling you
for like over a year.
Yeah,
she's the shadow ban queen.
It's like Nerdigans doesn't even exist.
As you can see, we do have the pop-up chat box now, so you guys, your comments can be seen right here.
That's awesome.
Deciding that that's a necessary
thing. Oh, really? They finally did it. Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
It's right here in the studio. It says show comments on stage. It's in beta, and I can assume that this is because of how Twitch has sort of made this a institution of having the chat on the screen.
I never understand that for Twitch chats, because like they go way too fast for it to really. I guess it just shows like you have engagement.
No. It's Subway Surfer. It's just there's a bunch of stuff going on in the corner, and your brain's like, there's stuff happening in the corner.
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah.
The dopamine receptors are being fried. Yep, that's how it goes. But speaking of fried dopamine respectors, boy, I'm on a roll. So here we go. These are not dopamine respectors right here. These are kind of the opposite of dopamine respectors. But we do have, thanks to Miss Nerdigans,
tribal chief, baby.
Yep. So here we have it. Jason Momoa and Roman Reigns are in talks to star in the live-action Street Fighter movie. I assume one of them will be playing Guile.
Well, the early rumors that I've heard is that apparently Roman Reigns is in the running to play Akuma in the series, which I find to be a very, very interesting choice. That
it might not suck.
Him.
It might not suck.
I mean, who knows?
Yeah, what is your take on that, Jacob? Because like when I hear that, I hear, are we like, come on, you're still trying too hard with Roman Reigns. Like you're gonna go, because it's this isn't just side character B, this is Akuma, like the main big fighting game villain, and Roman Reigns has to be Akuma, and it's like, come on, man, nobody's like, we're not taking foot over.
So if you've been following WWE for like the last, let's say, 5 years, Roman Reigns has basically been auditioning for Hollywood through WWE with his whole tribal chief character. If you guys remember, he was legitimately champion for almost 4 straight years, and back then he was doing a whole lot of, you know, character acting on WWE. And he's almost 40 years old. I think he turns 40 this year. He's made it very, very clear he probably only has a couple years left before he leaves WWE for good. So, I mean, if he's going to give Hollywood a shot, I mean, he really has no better time than now. So that seems to be his bridge, and 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And look, we all know his connections with The Rock. I'm pretty sure The Rock will help him out with roles. The only issue is that outside of his WWE stuff, we really haven't seen anything from Roman Reigns to gauge just how good he is as an actor. I think like the only notable non-WWE role he's had. He was in the he was in the Hobbs and Shaw, which is basically like a glorified cameo. He apparently also is in some upcoming Seth Rogen comedy, which, you know, I know nothing about, but apparently he's in that too. So
he was like I said, being Cap.
There's really nothing in the gauge here about how good of a actor Roman Reigns is, if he's more of a movie star or an action star, or if he has any kind of comedic chops or anything like that. We just don't know because we haven't seen it yet. So it's interesting that, you know, obviously for the last several years, people have made comparisons to Jason Momoa and Roman Reigns because they look alike, because, you know, they're both islanders with long hair. So it's like, oh yeah, you guys should team up in a movie together. And it's like, well, let's do Street Fighter. And then it's like, oh yeah, great, let's do that. So like I said, I don't really know what to take from this from acting perspective. Like I said, we just literally don't know. Like, we don't know if Roman Reigns is better and worse than John Cena or Dave Bautista at this point. We'll just have to wait and see.
Did you ever see Trainwreck, the really bad Amy Schumer movie?
Oh yeah, and Cena was in that one, right?
Cena was in that one, but I remember. So that movie is awful. Like. I
remember people were trying to pretend like it was actually good.
They were, and that's why I had a lot of people on, like, that I know in real life going, this is a really, really funny movie. We haven't had a good comedy in a long time. And I watched it, and movie is god awful. But I remember like Cena is actually funny in that movie, but he, like, it's one of those movies that even with his performance being funny, like, you know he's funny, but you just can't enjoy what's going on because everything else around that movie just sucks ass.
So usually by now, in a when it came to like The Rock's career, I think like Bill Goldberg also had another movie he was in. So like these guys that kind of get the superstar like level in WWE, usually by like their 5th or 6th year have a movie. Maybe not where they're starring in it, but like. Here's what perplexes me. Why hasn't there been like a Riddick style Roman Reigns movie? Like, why hasn't there just been
he's Riddick? Right. Or do you mean like Riddick specifically, or just like another franchise that's just almost a vanity thing for him?
Yeah, exactly. Just a vanity vehicle for him to be like, I am Roman Reigns. I do Roman Reigns things, Roman Reigns-y.
You remember how Hollywood used to work before it just became one big Diddy party? How you would actually have to like work your way up in smaller films to prove that you actually had the ability to act in movies.
Kind of like that,
it's like, well, once you did to feel like art house movies, some small budget stuff, then you would work your way up to the bigger things, and maybe once or twice they'll give you a chance to see, okay, let's see if he's actually has any kind of box office attraction to him. And now it's like we just threw that whole system out the window. So it's just like, let's just give Dave Bautista roles because he's good, right? Question mark.
Well, because it's like what we talk about all the time, or you guys have been talking about recently, because all the celebrities have been talking about it. They don't cast on talent or anything like that anymore. They really do just go for how many followers do you have on social media? Will you get eyes on this project? Okay, cool. That means more box office, because Hollywood still doesn't know what they want. Like, they're flailing still.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, no, I remember what was like 10 years ago when CAA started signing Vine stars to their talent agency. And I was like, why are we signing Viners to CAA? Keep in mind, CAA, the biggest Hollywood agency in the game by far, is now signing people from YouTube.
Well, they're also signing fucking like politicians. The Obamas both have a deal with them.
Yeah.
As soon as Biden was like, I'm dropping out of the race, like for Kamala, he got a deal with them. As soon as Kamala said, you know, okay, I lost the election, Trump's president, she signed with them. And I was just like, so you're not even really like, that's a big thing I have with the Democrats is like, you guys don't give a shit. You just want to suck yourselves off and make more money, I guess. Like, Obama doesn't need to make movies. What the?
He used to make ecstasy pills with his face imprinted on them.
Face on it, yeah.
Spencer, it's called money laundering. It's like, once you leave office, then you go sign with, you know, a talent agency. Then you get a book deal that just so happens to be worth $50 million. And it's like, your life is not that interesting. Why would you get that much money for a book deal? Then you realize, oh, it's not about the book deal at all.
It is not about the book deal at all.
If you don't know, again, this comes from Dom Lucra, so go ahead and take this with the Mars-sized, like Europa-sized grain of salt, if you will.
Does it really come from him? Does it have his watermark on it?
I think so. I think that's what that sideways triangle is.
That's a genuine Dom Lucra post because he does that on everything. He can share the trailer to like Superman and he'll put his watermark on it.
Yeah, comicbook.com started doing that where they slap their logo down in the corner of everything that they're posting, and it's like, why are you doing that? It's very weird.
Please.
But anyway, yeah, right. What does James Gunn think about that? But anyway, the Diddy Party prosecutors just revealed images of the President Obama-shaped ecstasy pills that were in Diddy's possession. And so, again, take it as a grain of salt, but I have to, the reason why I 60% believe this is because it's a stoned Obama face. It's not like his face stolen from the internet, like the Redbubble style, like pixelated.
Yeah, that's like an original
artwork on a
artwork.
t-shirt.
Yeah,
right. Somebody sat down and drew stoned Obama, and then they turned that into a pill press and made that into these. So this is a hand done job. Somebody actually sat down and said, "What does stoned Obama look like when he's a Flintstone chewable?" And so this came through. But
no, I definitely believe this is true. Like this is what they do with ecstasy pills. You press them into really fun, weird like shapes. I remember when I was younger, the code name we had was Pokeballs because the pills we were all getting literally had like not just like the Pokeball lines, but like Great Ball and Master Ball because they were like really getting creative with the press or whatever. So I can definitely, these are 100% real. I know that.
Oh wow, okay.
Do you think that Diddy was going around these parties with baby oil, like passing around these pills? Take that.
Oh, 1,000%.
So that's the atmosphere that these two are going to be making a Street Fighter movie in. By the way, they're going to be directed by the guy that executive produced the Eric Andre show. So
okay. Whoa! I'm okay. I'm in on this. Okay, hold on.
Well, what I'm telling you is it's going to be quite a roller coaster. You're not going to know what to expect out of this because you're not going to get Jean-Claude Van Damme fighting guy I can't rule. Gosh, I forgot his name.
I'm gonna let you flail for a second. It's Raul Julia.
Raul Julia, that's right. Okay, so that guy with his Skechers, with his flying Skechers. You're not gonna have that one, but you're probably gonna have a callback with this guy. You're gonna have one of the characters having those light up Skechers that he flew around in. But again, like that might be an opening circus act in this that someone's pretending to be Bison, and you know that's what they have is this goofy costume and this overdone performance.
Like the Thor plays that were funny.
Right.
The first one was funny, and then the one when they did it for what was it, Ragnarok? It was like we're done here.
It burnt out. It was the one where McCarthy was playing.
Hella. Yeah.
Right, and we were just kind of okay. It's all right. Fat woman pretending to be not fat woman. All right, funny.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Anyway, that's what you're probably going to get like a little bit of that in the beginning of this because that's Eric Andre show kind of attitude about this stuff is to start off.
But he's not. That show isn't. Here's why I have hope, and I think that's actually interesting because the Eric Andre show, they don't do that sort of MCU humor, right? Like, they're really wacky, but they're very dedicated and they take everything seriously. That's why all of
it's not dry humor,
right? It's slightly dry humor, but it's not, it's not ironic humor. It's not like going, isn't that so funny? Because who would actually do that, right? Like,
oh no, they come in red now.
They fly now. They fly. Mm-hmm. It's not things like that.
It's not that humor. No,
it's Eric going out there and being very, very, out like
in
a
all
Steve-O.
honesty, like the only positive I can scrape out of this is that, you know, look, I know I'm not expecting him to do a Street Fighter version of Eric Andre. I just hope that this guy just happens to be a Street Fighter fan, that he actually wants to take this like seriously, which is possible. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt here. So I mean, yeah.
You take a look at what he's got for a filmography here, and it says he also serves as an executive producer for the second season of Beef, whatever that is on Netflix.
Oh, that's a good show, yeah.
And A24, and directed the pilot and several episodes of the upcoming Prime show Butterfly. I haven't heard a damn thing about that. Starring Daniel Day Kim. He also directed several episodes of Peacock's post-apocalyptic video game adaptation Twisted Metal. So I'm gonna guess that he's a video game guy, because that's two in a row. And you usually don't go that way. Like the guy who did the Mario movie that sucked, you know, the live action Mario movie that really sucked. They didn't hand him another one. So it's like, if he was doing a shitty job, it wasn't like they were going to like, here, take Street Fighter, a considerably more important franchise. You know, they're not doing that. But
did any of you guys hear anything about that show? Like, I know I remember when it was coming out, Twisted Metal, like,
I only heard about it for briefly because the scene was going viral. It was Anthony Mackie and Samoa Joe, and that was like a thing for a while. I think like the first season when they released it, but I hadn't heard much.
Nothing after that.
Yeah. Richard said he heard about it, but as you can see, we're here on the screen because we got the pop-up chat. It says right here, Richard heard about it, but he didn't see it yet. So that's how it goes. A24 for me also has that kind of weird taste in my mouth because like the beginning years of A24 were really weird, and now that it's settling into a more traditional style of filmmaking and studio stuff, I still have that hangover, the taste in the back of my tongue of that.
A24 is incredibly hit or miss now. That's just the way it is. Like you're either gonna get like something that's like genuinely good, like what was the movie? The Iron Claw was a really weird.
Not
too long ago.
And
like you'll get something like that.
They did that Freddy's ripoff one with Cage, with Nicolas Cage. That was fun.
That was decent. But like I said, you'll either get something like that, or you'll just get like the most pretentious piece of crap you've ever seen in your life. Like bodies, or
really
like
tries too hard.
Or what was the I saw the TV glow? Like you'll get something like that, and be like,
And I'm actually the opposite of you, Cider. I don't like what A24 is now. I liked in the beginning when it was more weird and took all those crazy swings, because like it was weird, but you could at least tell everybody was like, this is something I want to do. But then, like, to Jacob's point, nowadays when you hear A24, same with all the creators, they go, oh, I got to be super over the top pretentious, and sometimes it just does not work. It just does not work.
Well, that's what it is. I don't care for the stuff that they're doing now, but as they've come into a more stabilized thing, you're getting a different A24. In the beginning, for me, I'm not a horror guy, and they were doing a lot of horror stuff, and their horror stuff was really like sci-fi movie 2 a.m. kind of like, horror stuff. Right. And so me, the guy that's like, I get uncomfortable when I see Negan take a baseball bat to the top of Asian guy's head that I forgot the name of all of a sudden. And Glenn, of course, because it's Glenn. Just smashing Glenn. I'm the guy that gets queasy over that. When he's struggling to speak, I'm the guy that's like almost barfing into my hands. So like the stuff that A24 was doing in the beginning, I was like, I want to watch Power Rangers now.
I just love the juxtaposition of like everyone who saw Glenn get killed like for the first time. Like everyone was all bawling and crying, and it's like,
I didn't cry.
One guy be like, "Yeah, suck it, Glenn."
Yeah, suck it.
Hated that character. He lived too long.
That honestly, the best thing to come from that moment when everybody got smashed was that Dave Chappelle SNL skit. That made me laugh so hard when he did when all the characters were replaced by like his Chappelle Show characters. Yeah, that was pretty fun.
Well, and speaking of replacing characters, we do have Ironheart that continues to be the gift that keeps on giving.
Oh, what now?
Ironheart letting everybody know the co-creator came out and said that they're not getting paid based on the success of what's happening in the MCU.
You should consider that a good thing.
Well, my first reaction is you assume there's money coming from this property to be paying you with. Yes, that's your first mistake. But that's their complaint, is that they're not getting the rightful payment for the creation of the character, as Disney has adapted her fairly closely to how she was originally presented in the first iteration of her.
Oh, that's
not the one
yeah,
that
this
was
is doomed. This is
updated.
due for failure.
I forget her name is Eve something or other. Was the woman that was brought in to reboot Riri a year into Riri's run?
Oh, Eve Ewing, which was
Eve Ewing, and she added quite a bit
really
of
bad.
Yeah, she added quite a bit of unnecessary drama to Riri. If you could believe that a Marvel character having unnecessary drama would be in excess, you know, somehow they managed to do that. But this is what they're complaining about. We also have, of course, the reaction to Ironheart. So here we are, good old Riri Williams in her homemade / stolen Iron Man suit.
In like the only cool shot that we're gonna see.
Cool, you know.
Magnegro. She is not Al Ewing's wife. She is actually unrelated. I was surprised by that.
Magnegro.
I know, it's awesome. I'm pretty sure that was what's his name from the other week, and I would actually, I can't even remember it, even though yes, it's the one with the N word. I just genuinely can't remember.
It was Neighborous Snape.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, what's up, Neighborous Snape? But I actually do know that because I was reading something from Eve, and I went, "This is terrible." And I looked at, you know, I went to the cover. I said, "Oh, Eve Ewing. No way. There's no way that she's related to like Al Ewing, the actually good writer." And no, they are completely separate. And Eve Ewing does not really know how to write very well.
Well, you know,
saying is she's not.
Oh, it's Hey, it's me in HD.
Yes, that guy.
What
he was Neighborous Snape as well.
Yeah.
But, Ironheart is going to continue to be a problem for anybody with taste, because this whole production is from stem to stern meant to be a dunk on everything that is Tony Stark, front to back. It is meant to not only mock the character, but also diminish what Tony as a character accomplished in his run in the MCU, as well as in the comics when she was first brought in as a character in the MCU, in the regular comic book run. Riri is meant to be... What's that?
I was just going to say, but the problem with that is that that's how they... Because, look, in the comic book realm, you can shit all over the Tony Stark character, like, at the end of the day, because, I mean, who really cares about the comic books, right?
Right.
But in the movie realm, the MCU realm, it's a little different, because Tony Stark is Robert Downey Jr., who's literally your only cash cow in the MCU at this point. So you can't afford to shit all over Iron Man and Tony Stark in this type of universe setting, especially when you got him coming back as Doom here sometime next year as well. So, like you said, I mean, if this whole thing was based on essentially pooping all over Tony Stark, they're going to have a hard time getting that message over in the realm of the MCU movie thing versus the comic book.
And again, I'm not really sure that the goal is to justify it. I think it's moreover just to make sure that what Tony is overwritten with Yes Queen. That's the point of it, is that... Well, what I'm seeing here is, like, I see the parallels with her creation, that this character here, the Hood, I believe is what he's known as. I think that's what it's... Is he supposed to be a corruptive influence like Obadiah Stane? Someone that she trusts, someone that she bonds with, someone that she comes to have a mentor-like relationship, and that he's guiding her in a semi-romantic... So, not that Obadiah Stane and Tony were going to get down, but there was like a...
Would have made the movie better! 20 Golden Globes.
Tony Stark built this in a cave while he was feeling up another man. You know,
he built this in my cave.
Jeff Bridges. I'm not sure about that one, but anyway,
well, I don't know. Jeff Bridges, good-looking man.
Tron is a lot different now. You know, Tron's a lot different now. But anyway. Yeah, so again, like, I see the parallels with what they're trying to do here and things like that, and that's another one of the conflicts I have, as I discussed last week about Ironheart, with her going to an academy and proving herself through various challenges against other students. That felt more natural to me than trying to take what Tony's like origin is in the MCU and try to rewrite it for college age engineer girl. so that's you know.
Your read isn't wrong. I just think it's slightly off target, because I really don't think that they are going to go into this show shitting on Tony, because one, I think they do realize, like, with what we're getting from, or with what we got from Thunderbolts, with what we're getting from at least that trailer for Fantastic Four, they've, you know, sort of realized, okay, we can't just go off on our own and have these weird, you know, coffee shop shows where everybody just craps and talks about social justice all day. I think they know that. Now, she, in the comics, she doesn't come in and, you know, shit on Tony's legacy, but what she's there, like, she's she's in the comics, she admires Tony. She wants to be Tony. That's why she makes the suit. That's why, you know, the second she goes out and deploys in it in the comics, Tony and Rhodey are the ones who like meet her first. And as soon as she sees them, she's like, I'm just trying to help. And she like gets out of her armor and she's like, I'm so excited to meet you. So what she really was back then was this attempt to go, oh, not all heroes have to be white and male, and having done all your heroes as white and male is patriot, blah, 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 blah. So that's what I think we're going to get. You're going to get a lot of the reverence for Tony, but then you're going to get a lot of, you know, but I can go my own way. I don't need to be Tony, things like that. Like, that's how I think the show is going to go.
I mean,
the end result's not going to be any better.
It's hard to know exactly how the show is going to go, because when it was actually shot 2 years ago, it seems like they were combining essentially what they were going for, so they wanted black girl magic and LGBTQ representation rolled into one. And then 2 years happened and they must have realized that this thing probably wasn't going to go very well, which is why it's almost getting shadow released at this point.
That's what I was going to bring up. Like, I am almost positive Marvel wants nothing to do with this. I think we brought this up last week, but they dropped that, or, you know, there was no marketing for this show at all until last week last week, James Gunn dropped he said on Sunday, like, we're going to be, you know, buckle up for Wednesday, dropping the Superman trailer. And then Monday, Marvel went, guess what, guys? Ironheart trailer on Wednesday. And it's like, really? Do you want nobody to know that this thing exists? Like, you're releasing not only just like another project trailer, but a superhero project trailer. Yeah, like, I really think they
now
just want
look.
it's contractual at this point.
I might be a little bit conflicted here, because I think we were quite literally the only people who were excited for Echo Mania, but it feels like there was more hype.
I brought that up last week.
It feels like there was more hype for Echo Mania than there is for this. Maybe I'm a bit wrong, because I was literally the only person gassing this up.
That's what I brought up. I was like, I've seen no excitement for this show. There were, you know, me, Comics Division, and Jacob, like, we were the only three who were excited for Echo, and that was still more hype than I'm seeing for this show.
Yeah, it completely fell through. But again, who's supposed to like it? Well, I just want to ask, like, who's supposed to like it? Who's supposed to like this?
It's your Kiki Palmers, right? Like, it's your black women on Twitter. That's really what it is. I'm not even joking. Like, I've saw over the past couple days, just like seeing replies to various things, not even like black Twitter related, just art or whatever. There are a lot of black women, you know, younger black women, I would say probably mid, like,
so basically all the Angel Reese
20s.
fans.
Yes, actually, that's actually who I'm imagining in my head when I'm saying this. But a lot of them are starting to put like Ironheart in their, you know, that's their display name. It's their profile picture. And I'm like, I know for a fact that if you know this character, you've only seen her in Wakanda Forever. Like, you don't know anything about her except for the fact that she is black and she's a woman. So that's who's supposed to be liking this show.
Well, remember,
that's the only person I can think of.
The character of Ironheart is one of those fake Marvel characters that came out in the last 10 years, where they astroturf the popularity of this character, just like so America Chavez and Miss Marvel and Black Captain America, that make you believe that, oh no, this is super, super duper popular. But the movie receipts have not shown that popularity in any metric whatsoever. So,
well, okay, this is so funny because I didn't put this together until you said that, right? Like, yeah. So we call that the Marvel Now era, right? Like in 2014, that's where after Secret Wars, that's where everything started going off on the gotta have Kamala, gotta have Riri, blah 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 blah. So it's funny. This is so funny because. Whatever you thought about the actual movie itself, I think we can all agree, at least generally, what I can never pronounce her name, but like, so Chittle Gomez in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, she was pretty cute and like adorable as like that young, America Chavez.
Oh, that girl. Okay.
Yeah. Same with Iman Vellani, you know, the genuine light of sunshine in Hollywood. She was great as Miss Marvel. And like, you know, it does not, we haven't like complete, like the culture hasn't completely flipped their opinions on those characters, but those two made it like, you know, okay, I'll at least check out the MCU version. Like the comics might be, you know, super crappy, but at least Iman is fun. At least Gomez is doing this well. They could have done that with Riri, but they gave her like the worst characterization ever. She's really that the Twitter online, you know, defiant personality type of person. I remember in one of the things that pissed me off a lot about Wakanda Forever is when Riri like goes back to her dorm and she's in her dorm, and then Shuri and the Dora Milaje lady that's in everything, they like show up at her door and they're like, "Hi, can we talk?" And she starts like throwing things at them like, "Get away from me." And then, you know, she makes that stupid joke about like, "You should take care of your assy ass head," or whatever, right? Like that. Okay, I know you guys were trying to get that ha moment, but this girl is flinging things at like the Wakandan princess. You guys everybody would know who that is. Why are you being such a, is this supposed to make me like you? Like, what are we doing here?
Not to mention, and I know this is kind of a sidebar to a
we
conversation we had last night.
This is our show. We can do it all.
But, you know, it's probably not the best time to release a project like this when Black Fatigue is trending on Twitter actively right now. Probably not the best time for marketing promotion. That's all I'm saying. Like, maybe you waited a little too late for this movie to come out.
They definitely waited a little too late for this movie. I mean, the desperation you see is by the fact that they're trying to trot out Ryan Coogler they're advertising it on his name. They did that, you know, preview interview with him. He's only a producer. I think we talked about this last week. He's not directing anything. He's not writing anything. He's there as a producer because he worked on the character in Wakanda Forever. So it's just keeping all their ducks aligned. He's not sitting there going, "Let's do this. Let's keep doing this." I don't know. I'm pretty sure this might be the first Marvel thing where they're like, "We just need to throw it away. Like, we just need it out there and gone."
And like I said, I think wasn't this essentially finished before Bob Iger came back? Like, I don't know if it was like right around that timeline, but it seems like this was one of those like pre-Iger return projects that kind of got like left in the shuffle, and it was like, well, we can't really cancel it, but I mean, it's gonna be a dud. So what do we do? It's just like, just release it, so we tell everyone that it came out. But we need better Marvel projects than this. So
one of the 100%. One of the hiccups in all of that is that they go out and they make this stuff. Well, we learned in Concord, from the development of Concord, that the studio heads were running around saying to the devs, "Oh, this is going to be the next Star Wars. This is going to be the next. Everyone's going to love this. They're going to be out in the parading around. We love Concord. Kids are going to they're going to be named after your characters. It's going to be great. Everyone's going to want to be a lizard man that chugs hot sauce all the time. You know, that's what they. So they tell these people working on this that Ironheart is going to be the next big thing for the MCU. They're going to be putting Ironheart in the Macy's Day Parade. Little girls are going to get Ironheart tattooed onto their face, you know, and then they have to go to them and say, "By the way, we canceled this whole thing and we're not even going to acknowledge it exists." Bye. So they can't do that because they gassed up all these actors.
Yeah, it would be too much of an egg on their face. Like
right.
Yeah,
they gassed up
their egos.
It was like they did all the gassing up, and then like literally 5 seconds later ran out the door. No take backs.
Yeah, right. It's your problem now. And that's, you know, like what they did to that Batgirl situation. You know, everybody involved is sort of like perma-gagged on it for, you know, until the NDA expires, and then they can come out and be like, "Oh, by the way, this scene was this. These are my pictures on my phone that I took when I was there. These are the costumes, yada yada yada." We're not going to get that for a while. So if they went and ran this down, it's 10 million times worse. Because they went and they said, this is a symbol of that young black female breaking into STEM, quite literally, forcing her way through a racist architecture that forces her out because she's not like the other kids at the school. And so they gas up the lead actors. They gas up all the actors that are supporting this whole effort. They gas up the production team so that everybody involved in this is like, "Yeah, we're going to stick it to the white patriarchy. Yeah." And then it gets 3 people watching it.
as it always does, but you'll have 9,000 stan accounts made on Twitter sharing gifs of all the suit scenes that'll trick you into thinking, oh, there's actually things happening in the show, when I guarantee there probably isn't.
And you have to ask yourself, did they just push this through because they all sat around in the boardroom and they were like, I don't want to deal with the social media fallout of canceling this. So let's just make the suit scenes the most badass part of this show. So those things will go around and advertise it, and people will sit through the monotony of this character just to see her transform.
I actually think it's half that, and also half like, various contracts for, Disney and the actors or whatever. They would probably lose a lot more money because if they broke those, and the actor can go, well, I'm going to sue you because you broke the contract. So they're like, between all of that, it's going to be easier for us to just take this L than it would be to backpedal away from it.
And we'll have to wait and find out if they'll ever actually commit to this in a way that matters, or it's going to be like Echo, where they're like, yeah, Echo's going to be the next greatest thing. Never mind.
I kind of feel like it's going to be a never mind, because, okay, when Echo came back into when Echo came into the MCU, and when they were introducing Riri to the MCU, both of them, that they had their like upgrade moments in the comics, right? Like Echo went from just this side character in Daredevil to now she's on the Avengers, and now she controls the Phoenix. For Ironheart, when they were developing the show, they actually gave her the 10 rings, like Tony was being corrupted by them, and she like takes them off to help him, and they start corrupting her, but it's still a big power upgrade. They tried that. They tried that for both of them. Neither of them took. I don't remember where I was going with this, but yeah, like I don't think it's going to be successful. That's where I was going with it. They tried these, big promotions on these characters when they were coming into the MCU. Nowadays, those characters are nowhere. Ironheart isn't in a book right now. The other one who we were just talking about, who are we just talking about? Ironheart isn't,
See how easy that is? How do you lose your place twice in the same?
I genuinely don't know.
You haven't even stopped talking.
I got it back too. I was like, oh yeah, here it is. And now I just forgot the other name of the character I was talking. Oh, Echo. Like Echo's not in a book. Ironheart's not in a book. None of these characters are in a book because I forget who just said it a second ago, but like these don't appeal to the intended demographic, the 13-year-old young girls, right? Like they're not buying these characters. They don't care about them. The only people who really get super jazzed up about an Ironheart show are the people who see it as like that culture war, stick it to the patriarchy thing. And like general MCU fans, I'm sure, are just like, ooh, yay, new thing, because they're normies and they got other things to worry about.
The patriarchy heard that and decided to say bet.
Oh,
and so they took one back.
Oh yeah,
the patriarchy took one back.
This was awesome.
Like I love it. I love positive reviews going. Her mother's genes didn't even try. No. I love this.
They had no chance, man.
Like Brock couldn't win a paternity suit if he tried. Like he was literally.
That's my favorite joke. That one you've made for like a while now. I always think about that.
It's like he would just walk into a courtroom and the judge just hit his gavel, not even say a word.
Brock would just walk into the courtroom and like go drop a cartoon bag of money like on the desk and be like, "There's all the child support I owe. Yep. Don't worry, judge. You don't even need to like hit the gavel. I know."
So there you go. Looking forward to her debut in the MCU.
Cool.
Undoubtedly on its way.
She got, I guess she posted a new record for shot put, and this is totally off topic from everything. But I think it's this cool thing that like even this far out, we still use the same shot put technique, right? Like you put it here, everybody spins up, and then you launch it. Like, I don't know. That was really cool to watch her do it. So that's all I had for that. Right, exactly.
Thankfully, we changed the naked wrestling part though, because the naked wrestling part was
manly competition.
I don't know. I think Speedos kind of even the playing field so that nothing ends up where it's not supposed to. I
don't know. I feel like Speedos are even more gay.
when you're trying to pile drive a dude, you don't necessarily want his teeth anywhere near anything that's dangly.
When you're wrestling like that, you're not going from the top rope. If there were chances of a wiener going like in the air above my like waist, yeah, I'm gonna say put something on.
I'm sorry. I just remember. I just thought of like Rey Mysterio like bouncing around the ring like a pinball, but he's naked.
I'll do you a Rey Mysterio. I'll do you a better Rey Mysterio one. Remember his spider move where he would clutch people on the ropes and then like thrust out to like bring them into it? Boom.
That was Tajiri, wasn't it?
Was it? I don't remember. I just remember that
tiny bouncy luchador man.
Yeah.
Japanese, Mexican, they all look alike at a certain point.
They're the same at this point. They're the same. Go to Brazil, you'll hit like 5 of each of them.
Mm-hmm. They speak Spanish there, right?
Speaking of being caught between the crosshairs, it would appear that the consumer is neck deep in this. We have Borderlands boss responded to fans asking him not to price the game at $80, and he says, "That's not my problem. If you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen." But before we get into this discussion, speaking of making it happen, we do have our Japanese audience here letting us know that they appreciate our the musical contributions
this
to
is all you, Cider.
Latest Assassin's Creed. Latest Assassin's Creed video we put here.
Yeah.
So if you're not familiar, this person says, "Thank you for making Mr. Nagase's song. Sorry, I have to switch to my account in order to do a support chat. So apparently this is maybe Hibozo. Could be the Hibozo, maybe. I'm not sure. But this person is letting us know about Mr. Nagase. So this is a fellow over in Japan who is in the government. He's a representative for the Hyogo Prefecture. And this is where the shrine that is destroyed in the Assassin's Creed video game initial release there when they didn't have the limitations on destroying the mirror. That's where that shrine is. And so that's where he enters the discussion, is in the defense of the shrine. And he saw the video, the video that has the parody of Carmen Sandiego's Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, but it's been switched to Where in the World is this black guy samurai. And so and Mr. Nagase apparently really liked that. So we thank you very much for your $20 American super chat. So thank you very much. And we are very thankful for Mr. Nagase as well for the work that he's doing over there. And we look forward to hearing more about his adventures in dealing with Ubisoft and learning how the culture of Japan is reacting to how the world views their culture. So, and he also has one of my most favorite sound bites. Eventually, I'm going to get snipped out, but he says "Blacku Washingu," and it's
Blacku Washingu.
It's so funny.
I love when Japanese loanwords end with the U. For anybody out there who's watching Gundam Quack or whatever we want to call it these days,
Quack, yeah,
you'll know that the system they use, it's a 2-pilot thing, but it's called the MAV system. And so if you guys know me on social media, I go by that handle. I've gone by that handle since I was 10. So they're constantly going like Mavu, 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 and I'm like, hey, that's me.
Gotcha. So we'll go back to this one now, back to this spending of the money. They want $80 for Borderlands 4, and I'll let you know, between the movie and Borderlands 3, that's not gonna happen.
That's not gonna happen. That I cannot believe. Just like at the top of this, before we get into the rest of it, just at the top, $80 for Borderlands 4. No way, dude. First of all, everybody, we've had these discussions over the last few weeks since the Switch 2 was announced. Nobody wants to pay $80 for games. You're only getting Nintendo people like not making that big of a fuss over Nintendo because it's Nintendo. They know, it's Mario Kart, it's Zelda. It's going to be a pretty quality game, even if it's terrible. It'll be a soft 8 at worst. For Borderlands
I'm sorry.
4,
have you guys tried not being fucking poor? Have you guys tried not doing it?
Well, guess what? Bowser's response. That's where that's actually what Doug Bowser said. But then, if you guys saw the trailer they released for Borderlands 4, they're doing the dumb, this is okay. How do I explain this? Yes, we all know that the Borderlands identity was pretty stupid. It was very, very, very Reddit, especially as you went from Borderlands 2 into 3 into the Tiny Tina's Wonderland stuff. You just started getting all the, this is a badass thing. There are 500 million parodies. You can go look, and all of them are accurate. But that unfortunately is what people ate up about it, right? I was telling this to Cider the other day, right? There are audiences or like entire segments of the world that we just aren't privy to, right? Like 911, 14 seasons on Fox. Who the hell is watching 911? I've never heard of anybody watching 911. SWAT's getting a spinoff. Who the hell watches SWAT? Like, you know,
what even was SWAT?
Huh? Right, exactly. I didn't know either. I just apparently it's got it stars Shamir Moore, the guy from the Sonic movies. So that's the only
and from
reason.
Criminal Minds too.
See, who watches Criminal Minds, right? Like I'm just teasing you, nerdigans, but
at least old school Criminal Minds was
right,
good.
right.
Like
no,
after certain people
he's
left,
the black guy that says baby girl.
Yep,
I'm surprised Nerdigans doesn't remember him as the black guy from Young and Restless. I thought that'd be a slam dunk.
Oh, well, she's making her way through that right now.
That was my mom. My mom was a Young and the Restless and Days of Our Lives person.
Days of Our Lives. That was
basically every woman over 60 loved Victor Newman.
My mother calls that the old and the useless.
That's no all.
Victor Newman was a Char level antagonist. Okay, like Victor Newman was like Lex Luthor level villainy inside of daytime drama television.
But that's what I was about to add. That's what I was about to add is like he was a villain, but the ladies loved him. Like he was so popular with the housewives, right? Like
the
oh
who
man,
portrayed
everybody ate it
him
up.
was like the original Aura farmer. Like anytime Victor entered a scene, it was like the whole production stopped to
fair,
observe
or not to be fair, but to that end, like that is like 90% of what soap operas are supposed to be is just aura farming, right? Like there are entire segments where they just like stare at each other. 2, I'm like 98% sure he started that. Like he was the first one to do daytime drama aura farming, and everybody followed.
Here's something that unfortunately the Zoomers will never experience. There used to be a thing called Friday morning cliffhangers from soap operas where like intentionally they would like end it or like a massive cliffhanger that you have to wait 2 whole days to figure out how it happened. And of course by Monday it never really mattered at all. It didn't affect like anything, but it was like, oh my god, what's gonna happen?
Well, because then it was all like it'll end with like the guy pointing the gun at them, and it's like, oh my god, what's happening?
And it's always like some high-strung violin music in the background.
Right. And then you go to the Monday's episode and you pick back up and he's holding the gun and he's like, wait, I didn't know you guys were in here. This was an accident. How are you doing? And it's
it'll be like a character. A character walks into the room and fires a shot, and then that's the last thing you see. Then you gotta wait till Monday to figure out what happened. Then by Monday, you figure out he just missed.
Right, it was worse with telenovelas, though. Telenovelas are like 100 times like more dramatic, especially with the Friday cliffhangers. It's
that's that Latin spirit, that Latin fire.
But cliffhangers.
But I bring up that other audience of people because that, you know, Borderlands does sell. It did sell, and its audience is Reddit, and those people ate it up. They really, really liked it. But with Borderlands 4, they're doing the thing of like, oh, okay, we got to abandon like a big part of our identity because people think it's lame now. So if you go watch that trailer, it's very, very serious. They got rid of the cell shading. It had like they're really, really focused on like this bad guy plot. It's going to be a disaster because the old Borderlands fans are going to go, what the hell is this? And the rest of us you're not going to win us anyway. Like there's nothing, I don't think there's anything you could do short of making like waifu Borderlands that would make me pick up a Borderlands game. Like there's nothing appealing about them. Like to me at least, right? Like I know you guys don't play video games.
The audacity.
This whole new trend of like, just go in, get items, come back, go in, get items. It's just so boring. It's just, I can't do it.
The audacity to ask for $60 after putting out that dog shit movie last year.
$80. Right, that too. Like that's the last cultural touch point everybody has. And it was notoriously bad. Like everybody made fun of it. Eli Roth even came out and was like, yeah, I don't know what I was doing. He stopped just short of admitting, like, I have a gilf fetish, and I really just wanted to see some hot grannies.
Hey, man, I just wanted the money. Like, that's all I wanted.
If he said that, or if he said the thing about gilfs, I would be like, hey, man, good for you. Like, get your bag. How can I even be mad about that? But yeah, so at the top here, $80 for Borderlands is egregious. And it's after this, I don't know what this game is going to be looking for, like after, or what the future of this game is looking at, like given what Randy just, unloaded on the world.
Well, and you have to ask yourself, is there a need for Borderlands 4?
No.
Was there anything about the Borderlands franchise that needed a number 4? So
no, absolutely not.
I have a feeling they thought this movie was going to go bigger, and so they wanted to have a video game that kind of was like on the heels of it, that revitalized kind of the sagging fandom of the movie. And then they realized, whoops, it's not going to happen. And now they've got this dark fart to deal with.
They could have done what happened with Dragon Ball, where Dragon Ball Evolution was shit, and Toriyama came in with Battle of Gods, and they could have done something where they came back swinging with a kick-ass Borderlands game.
To be fair, you don't know that yet. This is the first game since the movie. That's sort of an unfair comparison. We haven't seen what this is going to be yet. There is a giant chance, or not a giant chance, but there is a chance that this comes out and it is just the best game of all time. Very, very low, and I would bet all of my money that it's not going to happen.
That's
but
fair.
There's a possibility. There's that small possibility. So we got to at least wait for it to come out, even if we do if we would all bet really heavy that this isn't going to work out for them. We at least got to keep our...
There's a slight chance that this does not suck a Costco-sized bag of ass. So we have to give them the benefit of the doubt.
The slightest. But
Richard...
go ahead.
Richard points out that this isn't even the final price. This isn't even the final form of the price, because they sell things in editions. They have the Borderlands edition tiers. So you're going to end up paying $100 for like your favorite skin from the advertised limited edition pre-order skin collection.
See, I don't
we reached the era where video games are essentially the equivalent to Laker tickets. You just have to think of which one.
There you go.
You're pretty on point. And like to what you're saying, Cider, I don't think it's going to be like bad. Like it's not going to be limited edition things. Obviously, yes, they're going to have the various editions. They're going to release DLC. But what I see here is they're going to do microtransactions so that you can buy the costume of your favorite old Borderlands character. And that's where they're going to, nickel and dime the shit out of you. Because again, everybody in the top rows of TV, of movies, of film, of books, of all these industries, they're always just like chasing what the big success is, right? They get lucky when something like Sonic super blows up. And I know that all these companies are trying to chase the Marvel Rivals and Fortnite model, which is completely free. For those two games, they're completely free, but they make a lot of money because, they offer a skin or two that you would want to pay for, but you can already get the game for free. That's what they're missing here. They're all these companies try to go, let's nickel and dime them on the skins. Let's do this. We can get that, without realizing, like, except for the fact that you can't charge $80 for the base game for that. So it's going to be really, really bad. And so I wanted to bring up let's take a look at the actual statement that Randy gave, because this is like, it is insane that this, not only like a studio head says this, but Randy in particular. So Randy tweeted on a couple days, last week. He said, "I'm very excited for the Switch 2, even more excited to bring Borderlands 4 to this incredible magical machine." Completely normal advertising tweet. Nothing really to argue about there. Another user replied to him and said, "Randy, this game better not be $80. Don't take that risk. A lot of gamers aren't going to pay $80 and feed this notion of constant increase of the price tag. You are the CEO. You have some say with the price when it comes to your publisher." Randy shoots back in, again, one of the most the audacity of it, to quote Jacob a second ago.
You broke bitch. How dare you talk to me like that?
He goes,
I'm paraphrasing.
No, that's actually, if we had our They Live glasses and headphones in, that's exactly what it would be. If Randy goes, A, not my call. B, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. My local game store had Starflight for the Sega Genesis for $80 in 1991 when I was just out of high school working minimum wage at an ice cream parlor in Pismo Beach, and I found a way to make it happen. First of all, I didn't realize this until right now, reading it out loud.
He literally said, "Have you ever tried getting a job?"
Dude, he just pulled the like boomer thing. This is the same rhetoric that the boomers always use. Like, I got my, or I was able to walk in
back in the summer of 1973.
I played the Sega Genesis uphill in the winter, naked.
and it's like, I don't get honestly, fuck you, Randy. Like, we are in the middle of economic turmoil. Everybody is struggling with their money. Everybody is really concerned about all this future. You could have done something that would have gotten you a lot of credit by saying, we hear you, it'll be 60. Of course, we're going to have everything else, but we'll release it for 60. If you guys don't remember, Randy is not the most reputable individual, if you will. There are a lot of, for fear of getting the exact details right and opening myself up to, a bunch of blowback, I'm not going to get into exactly what everything that happened, but you can look it up. There's, really bad things with Randy and his magic castle at his home. And, there have been, CP allegations, and he's kind of got this slime, right? Like, he tries to come in and be like, hey guys, I'm hip, I'm cool, I interact with you on social media, I'm a gamer. And then, but he just feels slimy. You just don't want, you just know, I don't really want to associate with that man. So that is half of what happened to to Borderlands' reputation, is all these people that were attached to it just have made complete asses of themselves ever since the franchise started. There's Randy. There's also, to throw it back for my old internet heads, oh my gosh, Anthony Birch, right? Like the writer who got cucked and he opened up his relationship with his wife. His wife got happy and left him, but he got the Wii, and she even got the Wii U in the divorce. There used to be this whole meme about, thank God you woke up today, thank God you're not Anthony Birch. So this is just the worst route to go. You don't have the aura or the place to talk from.
Let's just pause here for a second. How spiteful of a bitch do you have to be to take a man's Nintendo after your divorce? How spiteful do you have to be?
That's pretty dark, yeah.
It's like, you can take the car, you can take the house, you gotta take the guy's Nintendo too? Really?
Yep. The man has nothing left in life. You can leave him his Wii U. Or actually, it was a Wii U, so maybe she did him a favor.
If that man had hired a hitman at that point, and be like, you know what, I get it. I don't condone it, but I get it.
Yeah. You gotta go to jail, but I get it. But I 100% get it, my man. So it got worse from here because everybody started dunking on Randy. Everybody started pushing back, rightfully so. And there was you guys might know another studio by the name of Devolver Digital. They do a lot of indie stuff, a lot of the more creator-oriented, focused indie game publishing, stuff like that. And they responded to the IGN tweet that Randy was retweeting and said, you're going to be able to buy Mycopunk, which is their upcoming game, for you and 3 of your friends for the price of 1 copy of Borderlands 4. Of course, Randy just can't let things go. He fires back to them. I know Cider's grabbing it right now, but I'll get ahead of it. He fires back and goes, Mycopunk is cheaper than a point of meth. Probably has fewer side effects too. Like, you don't have how are you this cocky? Like, everything you have made recently out of you, the movie sucked, like we just said. Borderlands 3 was universally panned. The only thing keeping you guys afloat right now, as part of Take-Two and 2K, is GTA and the $7 billion they rake in from all the idiots who buy NBA 2K microtransactions. But Gearbox is not this gem anymore, right? Borderlands especially is not this gem anymore. So this is just the saddest attempts at swinging. Okay, we all remember Wendy's, right? When Wendy's sort of popularized this way of internet marketing, of just I'm corporate, but I'm going to dunk back. I'm going to take swings. It was funny when Wendy's did it for a little while, and then Wendy's gave it up, but then everybody sort of has taken internalized that and tried to copy it. That's what he's trying to do here. He's trying to do I don't really care. I'm too cool for this. Our game is too cool to even worry about any of this. And or Jacob's favorite Loki quote, a boot has no quarrel with an ant. And you don't have that like, what am I like, I don't get it. It's not going to work out in your favor. If anything, do you guys remember when Overwatch was coming out? There was a game, so this is what, 2015, 2016, way back then. There was Cliffy B, the guy behind Gears of War. He had a competing hero shooter that was coming out at the same time called, oh man, I used to know this off the top of my head because I used to laugh at it so much, and now I can't remember. Was it here? Let's see, Cliffy B Battle Royale. What was it? Lawbreakers. That's what it was. It was an 80s style or 80s aesthetic themed battle royale shooter, just like Overwatch. And Overwatch made a tweet like a week before it was about to release. I was just like, here, like, we'll see you guys soon. We're coming up on a week. Get ready, heroes. Like, get ready to hit the battlefield. And Randy retweeted from that, or not Randy, Cliffy B retweeted from that Lawbreakers account and said something like, oh, good to, like, we'll see you in the graveyard, or like, we'll see you in second place or whatever. And it's like, you guys were going up against Blizzard. What are you doing? And of course, the fact that I forgot that the game's name shows that it had no impact. It got canceled immediately, gone into the annals of history. The models got licensed and appeared in Ready Player One, and that was it. That was the end of Lawbreakers. But it just goes to show, like, you kind of got to know where you are, right? Like, don't run up to the big dog and try and punch him in the face if you don't have that, like, right standing. It only works for Trump, guys. Trump is the only person on the planet who this kind of rhetoric works for.
But he knows when to use it.
Right, exactly. That's what I mean.
It's a gambler mentality. You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them, and that's a lot of people don't have that intuition. They just have the bravado, and they expect that to carry them, and that's never the case. But again, you're looking at this. We've had this on replay. It's probably causing people a headache because it's kind of all over the place. But it's not a bad game. It's definitely meant
it's like a Borderland light.
Yeah, the reason why they spread this around was because they wanted to make sure that they were scratching that Borderlands itch for people. And that's why Randy took such offense to it, because he was like, that's my idea, just cheaper. And this is where the point of meth comes from. Now, I've never heard it described as a point of meth, so I have no idea what the point of meth is.
Yeah, what the hell is a point of meth? Like, a pint of meth? That's not even a thing. Like, a pound of meth? Okay,
yes,
maybe.
Sir, I would like a pint of meth, please.
I would like a gallon of PCP if you have it.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's how they do it. They order it in Britain like that, and they order gallons of PCP like that in the South. I'm positive you can do that in Atlanta somewhere.
You can get that in like the Szechuan sauce, right?
Yes, there you go.
Yeah, that's what McDonald's does for you.
Let me go jump up on the counter real quick.
I need a brick of LSD.
I have to wonder if Randy is on meth when he's putting out these tweets. Maybe that's why he put out that tweet about the $80 Borderlands game.
Meth is a poor people's drug, nerdigans. Rich people do heroin. Thank you very
that's
much.
Crystal meth. Crystal meth is a poor people's drug.
Meth is too. Okay, rich people are not doing meth.
Maybe they got that fancy blue meth that, like, when it gets stuck inside of your body, like Lucy, you get like superpowers where you travel through time. And Randy's been to the future to find out that Mycopunk is actually meth.
And Borderlands is the greatest game of all time, and he's totally right to speak from here.
Him and ScarJo traveling through time on an office chair.
That movie is so ridiculous. Like,
it's not even so funny. Like, Morgan Freeman's in that movie. Like, what happened? There must have been like some kind of Epstein Island blackmail going on there. That was like, if you don't get in here and say some stupid shit about how the brain works, we're gonna tell the police that you did meth. And Morgan Freeman's like, God damn it!
Like, yes, he's a movie character, but there are a lot of stupid people who are going to hear him give the, we only use 10% of our brain and actually believe that, right? Like, because it's coming from Morgan Freeman.
It's like that Idiocracy scene where that kid's trying to stab the circular piece into the square hole. You only use 10% of your brain.
You mean if I use the other 30%, I'll become Magneto?
I can start lifting things with my mind.
Mm-hmm.
You're an X-Man if you use all 100% of your brain. You
all of a sudden,
Jean Grey.
All of a sudden, you just hear the X-Men theme song being played and the flute coming in the background.
That's the power of death.
As my brain starts using more of its power, the volume on that theme song starts going up.
Yeah.
That was Bo DeMayo's interview.
Yeah, absolutely.
The more drugs I do, the louder the X-Men theme gets.
But he would have been way more shirtless while giving it,
and without shoes.
And without, oh god,
him and his foot fetish.
What you're seeing here, Nerdigans, is probably like maybe drugs. He's copped to using lots of drugs in the past, but I think what you're seeing here is insecurity and not a lack of confidence in his own product, because this is the kind of a hit dog hollers, and that's what's happening here. He's they smacked him, and instead of just going, oh, I'm gonna, okay, cool, you guys got a good dig in on me or whatever, he decided that he needed to try and fire back. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's not, this is a man who knows that there are lots of genuine criticisms and isn't confident in his own work, which, like, yeah, your work, you can be confident in your own work and it still might, turn out shitty, but at least be confident in what you're making. Because when you do things like this, I just go, oh, you really don't have anything in the gas tank here. This is what you're relying on, is trying to make other people look stupid. Gotcha. Not buying Borderlands 4. Not that I was, but yeah.
Well,
look at here, you sucker ass jive turkey.
We've got even more.
He probably talks like that and thinks he's really cool.
That's how he talks.
He's a magician. Okay, like the man practices magic and he has like trapdoors and stuff at his home. Look, I think magic is entertaining, but magic doesn't make you cool. There's nobody on the planet. Even David Blaine is not cool. Chris Angel isn't cool, right? Like, you can't be.
The only thing that made Chris Angel cool was editing. That's what made Chris Angel cool, was editing.
It was editing and like flashing lights. It was your Subway Surfers.
The rest of the time, it's just
Have you seen Chris Angel recently?
Like, yeah, right.
Chris Angel is like, like one of those like pop punk bands from like the 2000s, but now he's like old and over the hill now.
Oh no,
he looked like that anyway back in the day. He looked like some guy with some washed up musician to begin with. You know,
he looks like the 60-year-old like lead singer of My Chemical Romance. That's what he looks like.
It's like he saw Kamen Rider Ryuki and he was like, I'm making my brand that. It's like, that's my thing. Is I'm gonna form through walls and shit.
He's like the pop punk version of Slash, and that's not great.
It's probably just his coherent speaking too. But
well, I was gonna say David Blaine had a cult like in South Park, but that's what he had.
Chris can't even get that. But yeah, you if you do magic, you're a dork. It's okay to do magic, and magic is entertaining. And if you do it, like, I would love to see some tricks. But let's admit, guys, you're a dork.
And you can play Magic the Gathering and still be a dork.
Listen, no, as a Magic player, don't do it. Like there's no coming back. Once you have that scarlet letter, you're done.
Okay. Well, on top of scarlet letters, we do have this one coming through from Bungie after they stole art, quite literally. Now, a lot of people misunderstood what happened here. They believed that Bungie copied an art style, but they did not. They one-to-one pulled this artist here. Her name is Fern, but she goes by Anti-Real over on X and other platforms as well. But this person explains that their art was one-to-one placed into the marathon game and provides visual reference for what they're talking about. And you can clearly see that the exact placement of the text, they even squished it a little bit for this space right here on top of the rifle. And so the other one here, they're going to show you, this is even more insidious, is that you see these. Hello. Thank you. I appreciate letting me know I can go to the next post.
Go to the next post.
Stop.
Stop. Why do sites do this? Does anybody have a good reason why video games or websites will randomly start giving you like intro tips again, even though you've been using it for like 80 years?
They need you to stay on the platform.
Remember your old friend, the little like paperclip they used to like give you assist.
But he would learn. At least he said, like, if he was like, "Do you need help with Twitter?" I'd be like, "No, I'm good," and he'd be like, "All right, I'm never gonna ask you again." But like, why?
And there was Windows Wizard.
Cider uses Twitter all the time. He uses two different accounts. He uses his account and the Bounding account. He shouldn't be getting these like prompts. I hate it.
So Anyway, there's
that's just me being a curmudgeon. Rah!
They're pulling a bunch of assets from the anti-real. Well, it's art showcase is the best way to put it. That Fern / anti-real herself put out in 2017.
It's to expand on that. It is so anti-real actually was on the Marathon team and was hired to like work on the art stuff. They eventually told her like, we're not going to use your stuff. We don't need you. And she left. And so then she eventually, when you leave these projects after a certain amount of time, you're generally allowed, if you're an artist, to upload certain things you work on to your online portfolios so that you can go get other jobs and whatnot. And so what happened was she left. They, whether willingly or not, pretty much said, okay, she designed all of these assets. She might not be here, but we're going to just go off of that anyway. We're going to take all of her direction, all of her aesthetic, and we're going to use it. And so then the, what was it? The trailer came out, and that's where we got her coming out and going, whoa, that's my stuff, and you're not paying me.
I don't know. I had the way that this reads is that she was just an artist and they pulled her stuff out of the blue, because she says Bungie's of course not obligated to hire me when making a game that draws overwhelmingly from the same design language. Then I might have been
operating off of outdated info.
Yeah, because the way I understood it is she was just an artist, and the lead artist for the game was following her, and that's where the connection for Bungie comes from, is that the lead artist was following her, and then ta-da, all of this comes out.
I already thought this was bad, but this is like this somehow Palpatine has gotten worse.
Well, this is what she says. Fern says here, Bungie is, of course, not obligated to hire me when making a game that draws overwhelmingly from the same design language I have refined for the last decade. But clearly, my work was not good enough to pillage for ideas and plaster. Clearly, my work was good enough, rather, to plaster all over the game without any pay or attribution. And so, as you can see here, this is Anti-Real's work, and this is how it found its way over into... Marathon. My apologies. Now again, it's not one-to-one like the other ones.
Your apologies. You're on a stream with me. The fact you're good.
But you can see right here where like they borrowed this icon cluster methodology that she's using in her design language. Now again, this is not to say that Bungie stole an art style, because you can't do that. There's no way to do that. But what she's trying to prove here is that Bungie willingly took what she had refined over the last 10 years and turned it into a one-to-one transfer into their texture packages, and then also went out and built their own graphics out of what she had refined. So she says, I don't have the resources nor the energy to spare to pursue this legally, but I have lost count of the number of times major companies have deemed it easier to pay a designer to imitate or steal my work rather than write me an email. In 10 years, I have never made a consistent income from this work, and I am tired of designers from huge companies mood boarding and parasiting my designs while I struggle to make a living. And so this is where our infamous screenshot came from, where this man has the hello darkness, my old friend expression here, while the Twitch chat just rolls with plagiarism.
So for those who don't know, do you have the video? Like were you going to show it? Or at least
no, I wasn't, because I don't know if they have it protected. That's the thing.
Okay,
It's one of those sensitive topics, and they're banning people from the Discord. So it's only.
I was just making sure how much I needed to explain about it. Yeah. But anyway, so for those of you who don't know what we're looking at here, this is the lead art director for Marathon. I believe it was pre-planned, like even before all of this. Yeah, obviously before all this drama started, there was a planned dev live stream, right? We see it a lot for lots of movies, video games. The developers go live, fans can just ask them questions like, is this going to be in it? Blah, blah, blah. Very standard thing. However, it was literally planned for the day after all of this blew up, or like the 2 days after all of this blew up. So theoretically, one would think, let's, reschedule, or let's let's reformat how we're going to do this. They instead just went full on into it. And I guess they expected everybody to just be cool with it. But if you watch this video, you see just everybody. So what's happening here is there is a moderator in a Discord chat getting questions from the users, relaying it to the host of the live stream, who I think is just like another Bungie employee. And then that employee is, talking to the art director. So the first thing I want to point out is watch this video for a textbook example of the telephone game, of how this shit works, right? Because the fans in the Discord are explicitly going, talk about the art style. Did you steal these assets? Did you do that? The moderator says, I'm getting a lot of questions about the art assets. Like, where did you get that style from? Where did you come up with that idea? That message goes to the guy hosting, and the guy relays it to the art director and says, oh, the fans want to know how you came up with your art style. Like what inspired you? What inspirations did you have? Completely changing the nature of what those fans were asking. So then off of that, point, the guy just goes into some, I like Star Wars and they live and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, he couldn't escape from it. So everybody just kept hammering him and hammering him and hammering him. And yeah, this is the face of a man who he knew he fucked up.
So we have the clip here. We'll 50-50 it if they're going to come for us, but here's the clip.
Bring it on, Bungie.
And so to that extent, I want to send my personal apology to Anti.
So this is the artist apologizing now, and this is the same live stream where he was starting out with, I'm having Discord trouble, I don't know the question, blah, 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 kind of trying to play stupid, doing the whole I like Star Wars thing, trying to play keep away.
Yeah.
And ultimately, he's staring down at his phone for like a good 5 minutes in the stream, and then all of a sudden this comes through, and I feel like Legal sent him this, and they're like, now's the time. If you like your job, now's the time. So you have to remind you guys, it's just the 4th time that Bungie's been accused of stealing someone else's work. Now, 2 times before it's been art. 1 time it's been a guy's Red War fanfic story that he believes was 1-to-1 just transported into Destiny. And then now we have this. That's 4 in total since 2018. So that's like 7 years that these people have been like walking around just lifting stuff off the internet. Like, you remember those geo sites where you just run across somebody's fan fiction about like multiple characters being in the same world together? And like, you've got like Trey's Kushradata hanging around with Tuxedo Mask, like the entire Toonami crew is out to lunch together or something. And this is kind of like what happens with Bungie's dev team, apparently, is they just start downloading pictures and they're like, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. And they just smash it into whatever they want it to be, whether it's that thing or not.
Well, like you're not wrong. There is this, there's all this art, but the one I remembered, and I just sent the link over, there was like last year, they made a Nerf version of a gun from Destiny 2. The entire design, obviously, like Nerf guns have to be modified from the original design just for the form and the function of a Nerf gun, right? And it is completely ripped off 100% from this artist's just design. Like they got commissioned to do it. Yep. And it was so 1-to-1 that they ended up paying them out. So you're onto something there, Cider. I think you've got way too many people. I'm an artist. I follow people that I like. And sometimes I take inspiration, or I go, oh, that's how they draw this. And I try to, borrow from it and put it into my own style. That's normal. But you don't go and follow all these people and go, okay, I'm just going to take that. I'm just going to take it 1 for 1.
It's mine now.
Yeah. It's mine now. The meme. I would love to see, or, honestly, what is the average age of these artists who are stealing? Because I feel like it's probably younger.
You guys ever been to like a Walmart in a bad neighborhood, and you're in a bad neighborhood because like the soaps are like behind like plastic?
Does the soap still lock up? Yep.
Yeah. I don't know when we're gonna get to the point where like we're gonna start putting like art behind like those plastic like bits, like one of those like assistance to open type of things for except for it comes to art. Like
we're gonna need like face scanners to like unlock the image, and then if we like refresh, we have to face scan again.
Yeah.
So here comes the apology.
And so to that extent, I want to send my personal apology to Anti-Real, whose work was used in this case. And I know how unfair this feels, and we're doing everything we can to make this right with her. Her work is fantastic, and we clearly share mutual appreciation for
a mutual appreciation for what, pal? For what? For what?
A specific genre of graphic design.
Oh. I was thinking right clicking.
Yeah, that's such
you
a
know?
dodgy answer. We share an appreciation for the same like aesthetics.
We both share an appreciation for your work. That's why we used it and didn't pay you.
Yep. We both like what you do.
like that's why, like, the fact that he says we're doing everything we can to make it right. Are you? Like,
no.
I don't think you are, because you would pay her
if you were. Fern would be in the middle of you two. That's
right.
If you were doing everything to make it right.
It's very exciting, and I'm excited to.
You look excited.
Have folded that into our style in general. So
you have folded it in a folder on your computer when you copy and pasted it off of her page. Yes,
that's all Weasel language right here. Like, we folded it in. We share the same appreciation. Like,
but wait for the topper. Wait for the topper.
In general. So, thanks for listening, and thanks for your patience.
Yeah, thanks for your patience for us just stealing your shit, trying to make $1 billion fucking dollars off of it. Really appreciate your patience on that one, honey.
It's and unfortunately for him, from more reports that have been coming out, this could actually be the end of of Marathon, because apparently all the employees who were blindsided by this, like the programmers and stuff, they are just completely demoralized. This thing is so baked into Marathon's identity structure that it's going to take a shitload of work to revamp it. And it's in everything, to the like transition animations between like scenes. It's crazy. It is not just folded in. You made the folder with it already in there, right? Like you were saying. So this could be the end of Bungie. This could genuinely be the end of Bungie.
Yeah, I think it is. I think this is it. I don't think they can come back from this, because the Halo thing caught people's attention for a while until they were like, it's just like an Unreal 5 video. It's not gameplay. It's not anything. So everyone got excited. They're like, we're getting a new Master Chief. Yay, no more Halo Infinite. We can actually have a story back. Blah, 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 blah. And then it just died. It was just over with. And they were like, oh yeah, while you're waiting for Master Chief to come back and kick ass, how about you play Marathon for no reason? And
this is probably one of the saddest downfalls I've ever seen of a studio, right? So they start out in the 90s as the sort of indie, dark metal punk sort of developers with that original Marathon series that goes all super psycho funky with the aliens and space and everything. And then they get to Halo, which is, a giant step up it's not a giant step up for the FPS genre, but it did bring it to more wide players because it switched up the,
standardized the FPS.
Yeah, there we go. Yes,
standardized.
That's the word I was looking for. Perfect. Thank you, Cider. Yeah, so Halo standardized it, and then honestly, that original Halo series, pretty damn good all the way through. Then we get to the point where they go, okay, guys, we're parting ways with Microsoft. We don't want to really do Halo anymore, so they can take care of that. We're going to go do our own thing. And then, like Cider said, everybody went, oh, yes. Like, all right, Bungie, what have you got for us? And we got Destiny. And we went, oh, okay.
That's what you got for us.
And then they went, oh, we have a new game cooking for you. And everybody went, let's see what you got. Like, you've had your experience with Destiny. You know what it is to be an indie publisher now. Destiny 2. And then they say, okay, guys, Destiny 2 is getting boring. Here comes Marathon. And here we are.
Well, and as I don't know how to do as Mag Neighbor has to say here, Marathon Concord 2.0. Yeah, you're right. It is. We're even hearing from the Concord devs now. This is an article I couldn't find just right off the top of my head, but they're saying now that the same things the Concord guys said, that the top down management is toxic, forcing ideas down on the dev team. The dev team knows better, but they are not being allowed to exercise their creative willpower because the people over the top of them are saying, no, it needs to look like this. No, it needs to behave like this. No, it needs to be an empty soulless shooter. And so we're seeing that repeated across Concord. We're seeing that repeated across Marathon, and I'm willing to bet after Fair Games comes out and completely face plants, like one of the most spectacular face plants in the universe is going to happen with this game. They're going to come out and say the same damn thing that Ubisoft came through, put them in a headlock and said, finish the game just like this or you're fired. And because that's what we keep hearing.
That's the other thing to remember is that the Concord comparison is pretty apt right here because after like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Activision sold Bungie to Sony. They are now a Sony like subsidiary. So they are being run by those same executives, and you see a lot of the same problems, right? Like character designs aside, yes, the Concord designs were abominable, and I'll give Marathon this. Your designs are a little too overloady. Like there's just too much going on, but they're not that ugly. Like they're ugly and they're wacky, but they're not Concord. But remember, one of the big flaws in Concord was they wanted you to pay $60 to play that game, that multiplayer game. And really, like I was saying earlier, I could go play Fortnite, I could go play Call of Duty Warzone, I can go play a billion other games that don't also require me to continually like pay money and watch movies and log on every single week. That is what we saw, or the early stuff we were hearing from Marathon was sort of that same, what do you call it, model, right? The game is $70, it has 3 maps, and that's it. I don't know what these people are doing. Like Sony doesn't really know how to do video games. I mean, we had the old president of PlayStation, like the PlayStation brand and all that. He came out and he's like, I wouldn't have done this live service push. This is a really bad idea. This isn't going to work out for everybody. I would have focused more on just, creating lower budget games from, wacky ideas and things that are out there, and try things rather than always trying to hop aboard the live service. And I think Sony doesn't have leadership. They don't have anybody at that top who knows video games. Nobody does. What was it? We covered this weeks ago, the Warner Brothers gaming CEO. He was from like a banking thing. He has admitted that he does not know anything about video games, and staff at Warner Brothers Gaming have come out and been like, he's really like business focused and doesn't really understand what development times are or things like this. The Take-Two boss,
Spencer, do you remember in the Lego Movie when the cat Lego character had to distract the President Business's boardroom? And
yes.
So she just climbs up on the table and goes, business, 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 business,
Yep.
business, business, business. And I picture that when you're talking about this guy, that he's just sitting in front of everybody, pointing at a dry erase board going, business, 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 business.
I kind of feel like that's probably what's happening here. He's probably got his aides or whatever, and they're like, we know what we're talking, and they like give him a version that he understands, but it really is just like this dumbed down business version, because you have him, you have the Take-Two CEO, so that's the company that does GTA. He came out yesterday during an earnings call, and he was like, I don't play video games. I have no idea about anything video games, but GTA 6 is going to be perfect. And it's like,
right.
Why do we keep hiring all these people that don't understand the fundamental industry they're in? It's like Nintendo, right?
For a second, for Take-Two CEO though, the differences between him and some of these other CEOs is he said that I don't play video games and I don't know about video games, but I'm going to hire people that do, and I'm going to delegate the jobs to them.
I mean,
that's
what they.
That's a little bit different than what we're seeing from some of these other CEOs, where it's like they're hiring activists and are more clueless than I think the Take-Two CEO is.
You have to remember that there's a lot of delegation that happens in companies, right? So even these CEOs aren't the ones going, I want to hire that activist writer, or I want to hire that, social justice artist.
That's human resources.
Right. That's the individual team. That's the director, the producers, they're the ones who assemble all of that. What bothers me about that statement is, yes, that's nice to hear, and nobody has said that out loud, but that is still kind of what everybody is doing, right? I don't see, Warner Brothers isn't hiring directors and producers who don't know what they're doing at that level. Like they do want these, again, like I said last week, these companies, they do want all of this to succeed. Like they would love to make money off of it. The problem comes in with, even if he's giving us that platitude, he still doesn't know video games. So he's still looking at this from a purely business perspective, and that doesn't translate, because there are it's not just line goes up. You have to be very, very tuned into what are, people responding to right now? What is, the vibe in multiplayer? You have to really know what's going on. Is this mechanic out? Is this game style in? They don't. And that's why
we do have a really good example. right?
We keep seeing all the battle royales. Hit me.
Well, we do have a good example. We have Claire, Obscure Expedition 33. They came out and like Nerdigan said, this guy didn't understand how to do various parts because he only did one part. He knew those parts were necessary, so he went out and found people. He went out and said, I don't know this. I need to go to Reddit and find somebody to help me with this. And they said, okay, I'll join you on the project and we'll make it together. And he's like, fantastic. I just needed advice. I'm happy to have you come on board. He had a person that auditioned to be a voice actor who became the lead writer. Take-Two needs to embrace that idea of like going out there into the wild and being like, this guy doesn't come recommended. He's a Reddit user who's very passionate about this genre though.
So two things to that. One, he did develop the game like that, but the Claire Obscure guy was still a hardcore video game fan himself. He has a channel where he does DMC combo videos, right? Like this guy knows video games. So yes, he went out and he delegated. But again, that's what everybody should be doing, right? Here at Bounding Into Comics, I'm the editor-in-chief and I know how to write, but I can't do video to save my life. So I give it to Cider. I am terrible with reviews, so that's why I give them to Jacob and Chris. I am very, very bad about staying up to date on weekly releases for things, so that's why I have Nerdigans always scanning all the manga and anime releases for anything we could talk about. So that's a pretty standard thing. Yes, so like they do that, but the problem here is, or the problem, the difference, whatever you want, however you want to call it, in the Claire Obscure case, because he knew video games, he went, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to look for writers and artists and developers who can handle this specifically. If you're a business-oriented guy and you have nothing, don't know anything about games, dollars to donuts, you probably go out and you go, all right, I got to assemble a team for a video game. Well, I need to get a producer who's produced games that also made a lot of money, right? I need to go get the top voice actors. They'll focus on the wrong things because they don't understand what video games are.
Yep.
So,
and that's
that's
a big problem. But that's where you got what Nerdigan said. You got a guy that at least come out at Take-Two and say, our goal is to put people who care about this in charge of these projects. Whether they do it or not, I don't know. But they're going out and they're making it express now that we're not just hiring a guy on that name. We're hiring a guy because we want to make sure that people who are passionate about FPS, that are passionate about hero shooters, that are passionate about Pokemon clones are doing things. If he does it or not, we don't know. But I want to see more CEOs saying it out loud because that'll get people who aren't experienced, that do have ideas, to show up. They're not like these storied creators that are industry pillars doing this stuff. They're unknown.
I don't think it matters that he's saying this out loud because this is during an earnings call. He's talking to investors. Everybody can say anything to say, fluffy. I am better. This is why you should be investing in us. This is why we should be looking forward. Again, it's great that he said it out loud. And I do wish we heard that more, just to what Cider said. Get that, in the zeitgeist, get that in people's heads more. However, I still don't like my video game CEOs having no experience or not even understanding the entire genre they're jumping into. Like if I were to, jump from a news editor to a car salesman, it would be a weird thing to put me in charge of your dealership because I have no experience with it, but I've run a good website, right? Like that's where I get, if you want to be CEO of the company, cool, then maybe make like CVO, right? Like Chief Video Game Officer, somebody who can delegate it harder instead of trying to direct it yourself, because these guys aren't going to direct it in video game terms. They're going to direct it in how can I, get 5 cents out of stock for this quarter before we finally have to sell off the Warner Brothers Discovery shell thing that we've been putting together.
And
it's kind of like what I like. It's kind of like why I like how Insomniac is handling the CEO situation, because you have three co-CEOs. You have two of them that are like extremely experienced in video games, have been at the company for like, I think it was over a decade. And then the third person is extremely experienced, obviously been at the company for a long time, but they purely financial. That's their thing. They were the financial guys there. So I like how Insomniac is kind of handling
I do like that.
their situation a little bit more. They have two guys that are experienced in games and one that's a financial guy there to handle the business aspect.
Well, like you also see that with Nintendo, right? They have their financial guys. Their president isn't Shiggy, right? It's I forget his name off the top of my head, even though I just wrote about him. But
guy.
Huh?
Other Japanese guy.
Yeah, other Japanese man. He's the president, and he goes to all the earnings calls and he answers all the investor questions, but he doesn't concern himself with the on-the-ground development, right? Because they delegate that out to not just creators, but they have dedicated, almost like comic books, like dedicated offices within Nintendo. So that's the Zelda team. That's where Shiggy is. There's the Smash Brothers and Kirby team. That's where Sakurai is. Here's what's his name? Aoji, whatever his name, the guy who's currently in charge of Zelda. He's over here working on like Zelda, but also churning out new ideas for F-Zero. So it's about delegation, and it's about not trying to do everything yourself.
I hate this camera so much. It's driving me nuts. Anyway.
But you know what? I just, like, as we're talking about, like, Marathon and stuff, I just can't help but think about what David Jaffe was saying, that some of these games are well made, but it's just the ideas, like the story and whatnot, it's just all over the place. And it just goes to show you that it goes kind of like goes with what Cider was saying, that you could the mechanics are there. It's just the ideas and everything else. You could tell that there's like so much corporate interference that's happening there. It's just not fair to some of these studios.
What I want to say to that point is you're absolutely right, because Concord, the gameplay, the actual what you were doing, not what you were doing as, the designs were bad, the environment itself was bad, but the way you were doing it
looked and felt bad just to like be on, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No wonder people were throwing themselves off the side to get an achievement award. But the thing of it is that these people making the game had this very strange idea about the aesthetic of it, but the people that were doing the nuts and bolts of it knew what that would work. Yeah. And that's the really crappy part about Concord, is that with another skin, meaning like the plot too, but with another skin, it probably, like, had they took Concord, had like Firewalk sold Concord to Marathon to reskin, they probably could have had a pretty comparable product.
Take two really shitty games and put them together, and you could have had a good game.
Like a less shitty anyway game, you know?
Yeah, at the very least, less shitty.
And what you're going to find, Nerdigans, is that the Fair Games is another one that suffers from this, is that Fair Games has an interesting concept, but it's so stilted into modern day politics that's almost insufferable to get through the trailer. You're suffocating in the politics. But it really, had they steered it back into like vague cyberpunk Robin Hood, they would have been fine. That's the premise of the game. They just washed it over in so much stupid modern day politics, you can't get through it.
Well, modern day politics and modern day production, right? So you had all of these, down with the patriarchy designs and everything, and representation, blah blah blah. But then the story, like all the two cutscenes we actually got out of it, it's reskinning the Guardians, right, of the galaxy. And at that point, like we were saying, everybody had already kind of gone, we like the Guardians, but we're done with it for everything. Right? Like MCU humor was already a big fatigue at this point. It goes back to
funny you bring that up.
Hit me.
Because Boom Studios decided it's time for another Mighty Morphin comic book series. That's right. No. You couldn't get enough. Now we're going to do one off this stupid video game that we made that was so low graphics. It's hilarious. Now, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Rita's Rewind.
Guys, stop. It's been 32 years.
It's over.
Let 32 years.
Go. Right.
It's never been more.
This is literally the backpack hanging on by a thread, like meme.
The Gucci bag or whatever it is. Hell yeah. So yeah, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, a couple months ago, the .emu, who is the team behind the Streets of Rage 4, that's pretty damn good, and a couple other such beat 'em ups. They're currently working on the Marvel Cosmic one. They released Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Rita's Rewind. It is a old school throwback sort of arcadey game. It's a beat 'em up. Its production is so I wouldn't say it's a good game. I'm so torn on it because the graphic, like the sprites themselves, all look really, really good, and it looks like somebody went and literally made this game in 1997. Like you have giant monsters who do the I don't know what that effect is, but the old school, like it would. When it gets closer, the sprite like it gets bigger and it gets all anti-aliased or whatever, and it got all weird. It like does that, and that's really cool. However, it isn't the most fun to play, and then they have these animated cutscenes in between everything that are just the lowest of low quality Newgrounds style animation that is just super off-putting. So it's this weird, I don't even really know how to describe it, but it is, now they are giving it a comic book series from Boom, which is, again, like Jacob was mentioning, as Cider and I get into all the time, this is just them trying to keep going on Mighty Morphin, which is let it go. How many times? I mean, we've said it a billion times. The fans have said it a billion times. Nobody is really that stoked on Mighty Morphin anymore. Like we've been here, we've done it.
5 teenagers with attitude. All right, you bet. And that's the hardest part about this, is that it's not like Power Rangers came and went in one series. There were 28 different teams over 30 sort of years to make this happen. They could have done any other thing. They even tried cobbling it together into that Power Rangers Prime thing, into this semi-reboot attempt at kind of retelling the Power Rangers
Which is
thing.
just so boring.
Yeah, it's sort of it's wallowing in its own lore, and I like lore, but after a while, it's like, okay, something needs to happen, kids.
Like, can we do anything? But the VR Troopers are here! Yay!
Yay!
Like
Ryan Steele. You remember Ryan Steele and his friends. You remember the incredibly bored-looking black guy on the monitor telling you all the crazy things that were going to happen on this episode. Yeah, the incredibly bored-looking black guy on the monitor.
Isn't that just Jacob's show?
It's just, when we bring up Power Rangers, he's like, oh God, here we go again. We're going to end up talking about how much Mighty Morphin sucks again. But no, I see the life drain out of Jacob every time we bring up Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. He's like, oh no, I wish I could be anywhere else. I'd be doing bingo right now. I'd be calling bingo.
Hell yeah.
We're still talking about Ivan Ooze after all these years.
Not even. We're still talking about Rita, for God's sakes. It's still 1993. It's not even 1995 for these assholes yet.
The woman who actually played Witch Bandora died like 20 years ago.
Yeah, a real lady. She's like, let them make another video game about me.
And that's what I was going to bring up is like, okay, cool, you're doing a new series, but you're doing the Star Wars thing where you're placing it in between everything instead of going forward so that you can tell another Mighty Morphin story. We don't need that. That was one thing, again, or not again, but you guys might remember a couple months ago, so Hasbro had the toy rights. They sold all of that to Playmates. Playmates recently, revealed everything they've been working on, their toys and all that fun stuff. But it also includes an AI remaster of the first few seasons, or like the original Mighty Morphin series. And I read an interview with somebody. I don't remember if it was the guy in charge of the project or the president of Playmates, somebody, but he was like, he's talking about all their plans, whatever, and he goes, I know a lot of people are focused on Mighty, but just a heads up, like we are going past. We're gonna do all of them. Like we're gonna go to Zeo next. Like we're gonna do it all. And I'm like, oh my God, somebody actually remembered these other series exist and can be shown to kids, right? Like I do not know the last time, genuinely, guys, a Zeo Ranger thing was advertised at all in the West. Just no. Like probably when it aired. So that made me like, okay, cool. That's cool. You're at least bringing it back. But yeah, most of the people, most of the guys in charge of Power Rangers are just going to keep going back to this well and back to this well and back to this well.
It's not even.
The art's great. Don't even trip about the art. Like the art's fine. It's just everything else surrounding it, right?
It's not even water in the well anymore. It's just the condensation of the deep in the atmosphere that they're just trying to.
This is squeezing blood, trying to squeeze blood from the stone, and then God himself comes down and says, it ain't happening. Like, even with my own power, like, I am God, and this is the one rock in existence that I cannot, get blood from. And the guy just keeps going, but I could do it.
So
what they need to do is they need to do a Street Fighter kind of game, but with, Power Rangers from the entire franchise. Get that in the works, like Dragon Ball Z Fighter style, that kind of style.
Yeah.
with every single Power Ranger from every franchise, and you will have all Power Ranger fans like eating it up.
Well, wouldn't you know, Super Sentai had that idea, name it Go Suture!
And it's
What do you know?
good.
It is. And so, by the way, just as Sakura Media would like us to observe here, the draw for the game itself is dead. There's 0 players as of that screenshot, and only 602 in the past 5 months were interacting with this, as compared to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge that had 11,000 people 2.9 years ago when it was on here, but it's still maintaining 38 players at the time of that screenshot.
And like the thing is, that Street Fighter game or that Turtles game is actually good. Like, I'm not a Turtles fan. Like, in our whole debates with Josh and everything, you know, I'm fully in Team Jacob, but I play that game and I'm like, this is fun to play. You just don't get that from Power Rangers. Okay, here's an example of how unfun Power Rangers was to play. They've recently changed this in an update, but it's sort of like too little too late. Think of like any action game, any beat 'em up game, there is, you know, if you get knocked back, if you get knocked down, there is the option to like, you know, hit jump or hit attack like fast, and you will do what is called an ukemi, which is like a quick recover. Instead of just letting your animation roll, your character will jump back up and they'll roll back into action. You can't do that in this game. When you get knocked down, you have to go watch your guy, like, you know, get hit, pop, lay on the ground, stand up, and then you can start fighting again. And it's just, what the hell are we doing here? It's probably a solid like 6 or 7, but in this day and age with that IP, that's not enough to get to do anything.
Right. Yep. And right here with the Funko Pops, you know?
Oh yeah. So I wanted to bring this up because yes, in all of our Power Rangers talks, we always regularly go back to Power Rangers the movie, and I think I talked to you about this, Cider, but they don't do anything with this movie, right? Like they acknowledged it in like the seasons after it, like once or twice, but we've got no toys, we've got no comic books, we've got no video game, we've got nothing with these suits ever. And honestly,
it's technically not canon because it doesn't actually have any kind of correlation with the TV show at all.
They literally like mention one thing, like you have your ninjetti powers, and they go, yeah, cool, let's go. And they don't like Ivan Ooze has never been mentioned again. That the special Megazord has never, the really bad CG Megazord has never been mentioned again. But finally, we are getting Funko Pops. And this is where we're at. This is what Mighty Morphin is now, guys. It is just a Funko Pop brand. It is just put this thing on whatever, and let's see if we can sell it to people. And like, what makes me really angry is the Zord. We've never gotten good toys of that Zord, and here's the only one, and it's a fucking Funko Pop. I would buy like a full combinable one in a heartbeat.
It's like an SD
These are gonna sell
Gundam
great at Comic-Con.
Yeah. Oh yeah. These are gonna be everywhere this year at Comic-Con, and it's gonna make me. I'm just gonna take a photo of them every time and send them to you guys.
To contrast this with brand management, as Hasbro has not been able to even fathom what that phrase means as far as Power Rangers comes from. We have RoboCop Rogue City with a DLC that adds accessibility option to auto-target penises. So the most based DLC to ever come to video gaming is now available.
You know, I'm normally against auto aim, but for this, I think I can make an exception.
I really hope there's like a target reticle that searches the lower abdomen and then I hope it does that.
But I also hope it's like a really strong one. So like if you just like walk into the room and an enemy pops up, I want your reticle to like immediately snap over there, and then I want like the model to like immediately snap over. Like I want you to be forced to put it down.
It's a nice pun.
Yes, it is.
That closes out our discussion for tonight. So make sure you watch out for your ding-a-dang donglers when you're out there in the dark and you hear a heavy set of metal footprints coming up behind you. And speaking of... Nope, that doesn't connect. Miss Nerdigans, where do we find you after the show?
Let's go!
Well, first off, I do want to mention this to you and Spencer Cider that I was watching one of my favorite toy hunters, and he went to Hobby Lobby, and
Oh,
apparently the 40% discount that they do over there every once in a while does apply to Gundam kits, and they have some really good ones.
Yes.
So
I
think they
guess
do it
I
every
have to
once
go
in a
look
while.
for a Hobby Lobby. I genuinely don't know where one is around here, but it's Arizona. There has to be like 7.
I know, and apparently Barnes and Noble is starting to carry Gundams now too.
Okay, I'm not gonna find one of those. I know that for a fact.
It's like you open the door to your house, you step outside, and there's a Hobby Lobby like right across the street. Oh,
And there's no Barnes and Noble. Like, it's crazy. Barnes and Noble is getting like they have like mini combinations stores inside Barnes and Noble now. It's like, what? They do?
It's pretty for a long time now. Barnes and Nobles and Borders or whatever, they've been really good about merch. Like they've had figure arts and like high end things. But what were we just laughing about, Cider? Because I was gonna laugh at that again. But anyway.
Oh yeah, the Hobby Lobby across the street.
Oh yeah. If the Hobby Lobby people had their way, that's actually what like they had a couple years ago this like expansion plan for Arizona that they were going to open like a store almost like every other or every third exit. And everybody went like, what the hell? Like, we don't need that many Hobby Lobbies. Like a Home Depot maybe, but we don't need Hobby Lobby. So if they had their way, I would walk out and boom, right there, Hobby Lobby. I would get my food from Hobby Lobby.
There's more Gunpla kits in a square mile in this part of Arizona than there is in all of Japan.
I guarantee. Okay, just because you said that, I guarantee if I go into a Hobby Lobby and I go, sir, excuse me, where can I find the Gunpla kits? He's gonna go, you want a gun? Wrong store. No, Gunpla. You some kind of gay? You a faggot?
You laugh.
And I'll be like,
you say that right, but I know this guy's gonna walk over to the wall. He's gonna look around. He's gonna grab a hole of like a candelabra and just twist it a little bit, and the wall's gonna fold away, and it's like this massive warehouse of gunpla. You know,
it's actually like a dimensional link to like a warehouse in Japan. Like, yes, right this way, sir.
Everyone's wearing those Gunpla factory costumes where they look like the characters and stuff.
Yes!
Yeah, it's like the Oompa Loompa Willy Wonka version of Gunpla. You know.
Like, dude, it's crazy that of all places to have Gundam model kits, it's a Hobby Lobby, and for them to have it for 40% off every once in a while.
You know what that is, Nerdigans? That is them going, oh, they do sell model kits there, so they're going, oh, these are model kits, buy them. But their clientele does not know what a Gundam kit is, so they're like, just get these things out of our fucking store, like, just please. Just gone.
They got like master grade from what the toy hunter I go to or watch saw. They got like master grade. They got rares. They got everything there. They got like new ones too. Yeah.
I gotta go looking then. Hell yeah.
So back to you though.
But yeah, now that I got that out of my system, you can check me out on Nerdigans Inc. on YouTube, where we cover anime and manga every day. On Thursdays, I'm starting to do some live streams and weekly live streams. And tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a live stream covering, of course, the update on the piracy content that we cover tonight. Go full more in depth on that, and we're probably going to cover the Dragon Ball Daima dub insanity, because I spent like the past couple of days going through every episode, and God, it is bad. It is bad. I got to choose which ones I'm going to put in the article we're writing. Oh my God, that's good. That's so hard. It's so hard to choose.
I know.
You saw it, Spencer. You saw.
Oh yeah, I've seen all the stuff you've been dropping. Yep.
It is really, really hard to choose. But anyways, with Patreon, where we're doing our anime live reaction content, I got to figure out what I'm going to do, because I have to. I got the approval to get more memory for Patreon, but there's like a 90-day cooldown period. Yeah, you have to. Yeah, there's something where you got to get more memory for Patreon, at least for me anyway.
Weird.
So I gotta fight the system for Patreon to see if I can get past that 90-day stuff. Otherwise, I don't know, I might have to delete content on there. But that's at patreon.com/packergirl. All my Dragon Ball Daima live reactions, both sub and dub, are up there. I do have some free ones, so you can check it out as well. And then what else do I got going on? Oh, of course, my Twitter, which is beyond Shadowband, as well as my YouTube is beyond Shadowband, which is very, very frustrating. And next Thursday, actually, is my birthday. I'm not looking forward to turning 36. I feel so old.
Oh.
Well, dang, we got to do something.
We'll do
All
something
right.
next week, I
Only
guess.
36.
Yeah. I'm not looking
still
forward
the
to
baby.
36.
All right, Jacob, when the show's over, where do we find you?
You can find me over at Society Reviews. I got a lot of stuff that I'm backlogging. I haven't even watched a whole lot of films in the last couple of weeks, so I'm trying to get back into the groove of doing things again. So hopefully I'll be back with a new Mission Impossible review this weekend and just start slowly catching up on everything that I missed. So check me out over there. Like I said, I'll work on getting some new content out. Like I said, I gotta get back into the swing of things. There will be a Bible Ins on Sunday, 7 p.m. is our normal time slot for that show. And then last night we came back on the Bar Room. We'll be doing that one every Tuesday night as well. So yeah, we'll be getting back to our normal schedule not too long from now. So.
All right, and Spencer, when the show's over, where do we find you?
Yeah, Jacob, I am glad you mentioned the Bar Room last night because I was like, guys, go check that out. He's back. We're here. We're good. But yes, guys, as always, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. It is always our pleasure, my pleasure, to hang out with you on Wednesday night, talk about all the awful things happening to the franchises we love, and have some laughs from when Cider and Jacob sit me down and go, Spencer, it's just terrible. That's the answer to it. But aside from that, you guys can check out all of us on our respective channels. You can check out boundingintocomics.com every day for new news. And I'm just happy to have been able to hang out with Jacob again.
And yeah, from all of us here at Bounding into Comics, we want to let you know that we will be moving at 01 to a new time slot. We'll be starting the retro show as well. We're still deciding on the name for that. And we'll be conducting that earlier in the day. Only because it just seems to be that the audience isn't open up, around this time. So we'll try to catch you during your lunch break or when you're, settling in after work rather than deep in the night when you're ready to cuddle up with your loved ones and maybe not hear about this crazy stuff.
Yeah,
so,
we don't have loved ones, so we'll be here at any time, but we'll make it out for you.
And as always, guys, good luck out there. And I'll hit the button.
Doesn't feel the same. I sat down to rewatch that Archer in Green, but something felt off like a scene swept clean. No call to rise up, no fight against the crown, just some hollow action and glossed up renown.
He once spoke fire about kings and chains. Now it's gone like it never came. He used to say no king.
Now it's a blank cut scene.
Now it's a blank cut scene.
What's been deleted now? What's been deleted now? Why does it feel so tame? The rebel's voice is down, erased without a name. What's been deleted now? Did someone shift the frame? They say it's just a cut, but it don't feel the same. I searched for the speech where he vowed to stand against all the tyrants and take back the land. But streamers go quiet and edits slip through. Sanitized history, now nothing